the electricity of game day in Auburn against the backdrop of the pageantry and pride of homecoming. 9 days ago, the Auburn Tigers struggled but survived at Kansas State. The road ahead is challenging, but the focus is on today. Louisiana Tech visits Jordan-Hare Stadium as Auburn reaches for another level heading into October. Live at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. For more than 100 years, the battle cry here has been War Eagle. Swooping across the sky on this gorgeous homecoming weekend. The untethered eagle, Nova, signals the start of another Auburn home game. The Eagle has landed. Auburn versus Louisiana Tech. Game on. A sellout crowd for homecoming. Scalpers working the sidewalks. A sea of orange and blue await the Tigers. Good afternoon and welcome everybody. With Jesse Palmer, I'm Brent Musburger. Thanks for dropping by. This is the lull before the storm for Auburn. Heavy lifting in the SEC starts next week, Jesse.
Brent, they haven't yet played their A game on offense, defense, and special teams in the same game. I think it's really important they play a complete game today. There's been some surprises this year. I think the defense, that was the biggest question mark coming into the year. The last 2.5 games, they've been lights out. They've been physical. They've been stopping everybody. I think the bigger concern, how much this Auburn offense struggled running the ball against Kansas State last week. Only scored 20 points, had less than 3 yards a carry. Kansas State didn't solve any magic puzzle. They beat up Auburn at the point of attack. This offensive line, these running backs for Auburn, going to have to play better today. It's important they play a complete game because you're right. That remaining schedule, that's the toughest remaining schedule in the entire country.
Yeah, so Maria Taylor down below. Any chance that we'll catch Auburn looking ahead to LSU next week?
Not at all, Brent. In fact, Gus Malzahn said that Kansas State win really gave his team a heightened sense of awareness. And offensive coordinator Rhett Lashley said out of the 74 plays that they ran on offense, it was a single-digit number of plays that all 11 players were actually executing their assignment. So what do? You go out and have 2 really tough practices on Tuesday and Wednesday. Coach said they were 2 of the best of the season. Now he's hoping that translates to today's game.
All right, Maria, and of course Louisiana Tech of Conference USA, coached by Skip Holtz. He's the son of Lou Holtz of ESPN, formerly a good head coach himself. Jesse, let's give this team a little identity.
They've got a running back. People at home have got to watch. This Kenneth Dixon is the best running back in the country that nobody talks about outside of Conference USA. He is the total package. Speed, vision, quickness, power, can catch the ball, can pass block. They're going to get him as involved as they can in this game. They're going to need to. Auburn's front seven on defense has become one of the most physical front sevens, not just in the SEC, but in the entire country.
There's Coach Holtz on the far side here at Auburn. won the toss. Coach Malzahn wants the football, and he will put his freshman Rock Thomas back as one of his return men, along with the veteran Corey Grant. Ball on the tee for Jonathan Barnes of Louisiana Tech. And we begin. This is Grant, going to come out from deep in the end zone, going to gamble on this, and brought down at the 22-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10. And our veteran quarterback, Nick Marshall. And his coaches describe him, Jesse, as a gamer who can make the big play in the 4th quarter.
And he's one of the most dangerous dual-threat quarterbacks in the entire country. We all know about his speed and his ability running the football. He's become an improved passer. We saw that last week against Kansas State. It's important he builds on that performance today against the Louisiana Tech defense, whose strength lies in their secondary.
Artis Payne opens as his key running back. He's number 44. They will throw on 1st down to Ricardo Lewis. So Lewis handles it on 1st down. He was very active in practice Thursday. 11 yards and a 1st down on their initial play.
And you know Gus Malzahn wants to push the tempo very quickly. Auburn back at the line of scrimmage.
Williams wide to the right. Motion in behind Marshall with Artis Payne. Artis Payne's first carry of the game into the heart of that Bulldog defense. They were ready. Houston Bates with the stop.
Big key today. Can Auburn's offensive line assert themselves up front at the point of attack? They got pushed around against Kansas State again. Didn't average 3 yards a carry. In this game, they need to win in the trenches at the line of scrimmage. Louisiana Tech won that play right there.
Sammy Coates is off to the left, trying to shake off an injury and show up big here today. Artis Payne again picks his way beautifully to the 39-yard line, and Xavier Woods makes the stop.
And it's so important they have success running the ball on 1st and 2nd down like that, so they can set up 3rd and manageable. This is where a quarterback like Nick Marshall's running ability becomes a factor.
Corey Grant checks into the backfield. Fultz is the H-back. He's number 11. He'll lead the action. Toss play now to the outside, and the Bulldogs were ready. Big stop on 3rd down by Barnes, the corner, who came up and made the stop, and they're going to force a punt here early.
It's important Louisiana Tech is physical in the front 7, but in order to stop the run, you've got to have defensive backs that are willing to tackle. Look at Barnes at the top of the screen being blocked by Ricardo Lewis. That's an easy win, and it's a great play in the backfield, forcing a punt and a 1st 3 and out on the 1st possession for the Auburn Tigers.
Daniel Carlson, the all-everything kicker, on the field. Trent Taylor awaits this punt for the Bulldogs. Fair catch is the signal by Taylor at the 28-yard line. And that's where Louisiana Tech will put it in play. So an interesting journey for Cody Sokol. Went to Scottsdale Community College, signed with Iowa, played just part of one game, and here he is transferring down and playing with Louisiana Tech.
And you watch him on tape, there's a lot to like about him. He's got a lot of arm talent. The fact that he's a senior coming in here to Louisiana Tech, he's already seen a lot of football. Hasn't necessarily played a lot, especially while he was at Iowa, but he understands pass concepts. He's already thrown as many touchdowns this season as Louisiana Tech had all of last year.
Dixon, whom Jesse mentioned, motions out and catches the pass, the first play of the game, and he's to the 33, and McKenzie with the stop for the Tigers.
They have to get him the ball as many ways as they can. Conventionally running the football, throwing it to him out of the backfield, line him up at wide receiver. He is the best player on Louisiana Tech's football team.
3 receivers to the right, and the 4th man is over to the boundary side now, and checking his Sokol with the sideline to see what the coaching staff wants to call here. That's Dixon, number 28, as a running back. Again, Dixon motioning. And they'll throw back the other way, deflected and incomplete. Nice play by Devontae Lambert.
Devontae Lambert was the #1 ranked JUCO defensive end. They signed this past year, and he's a guy that's really come on for this Auburn Tigers defense. He's been physical against the run. Check out number 86. He knows he's not going to get to the quarterback. They try to cut block, and he stays on his feet. Shows he has athleticism batting that football down.
Ellis Johnson, the defensive coordinator, does an outstanding job upstairs. He's set the defense now for 3rd down and 5. The Bulldogs will see if they can keep this drive going. Sokol, pocket collapsing, deflected, and caught on the rebound by Sokol, the quarterback. And he is out to the 31-yard line. Pass was deflected by Adams, who's moved from defensive end to the interior, and he got a paw on it.
Auburn's defense, led by defensive coordinator Ellis Johnson, dialing up pressure those last 2 plays. It was a nice play, but you'll see Adams inside, #1. Gets a paw on that football, but then heads up play by the quarterback Sokol to catch it. Tries to advance it, just not far enough for that 1st down. Auburn answers Louisiana Tech's 3 and out on defense with one of their own.
Quan Bray awaits this punt. Very good hands. Don't know if he can get over on it. He cannot. It's out of bounds. He wanted to get to that one. It was low and returnable, but it went out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. Auburn football when you come back on homecoming weekend.
Aflac welcomes fans to the SEC Network.
Beautiful campus here in Auburn. A lot of great brick buildings like Sanford Hall. Sellout crowd for homecoming. And Jesse, you were there in Manhattan, Kansas last week.
Yeah, and Auburn's offensive line had issues running the ball. They weren't winning at the point of attack, not getting enough push. More than that, they weren't able to climb up into the 2nd level and get hats on hats. You look at these highlights, you see a lot of linebackers and players off the edge running free at these Auburn running backs. You got to give Kansas State credit. They're a very good defense. They play fundamentally sound, made tackles in the open field. You can see a lot of streaks got snapped with respect to the Auburn Tigers rushing offense in that game. They got dominated, and that's got to change today against Louisiana Tech.
Artis Payne, number 44, again the running back. Marshall also a dangerous runner. With 3 wideouts, they'll go back to Artis Payne, stepping to the left side, twist to the 25, helmet off, so a player will have to leave for 1 play. Johnson with the stop. Villamez has to go out for 1 play. He lost his helmet.
There's a great example on that last play, Brent. Offensive lineman not able to get up on middle linebacker Tony Johnson, and he's able to make the tackle in the open field for a minimal gain. Offensive line's got to do a better job.
2nd and 8. Uzama and Fultz switch sides, the tight end and the H-back. And again, they try to run Artis Payne, nothing much. The one point I would make, Jess, about the running game as we look forward, when you look at the Auburn team and you think, wow, they lost their best running back, they lost his best blocker, and then they lost their best offensive lineman last year. Sometimes not as easy to replace fellows like that as it seems on paper.
You lose the 2nd pick of the draft and Greg Robinson at left tackle and a Heisman finalist and Trey Mason. The key guy there was Jay Prosch, their fullback, who brought a physicality to this offense. He's now starting for the Texans.
Yeah, no question. Jay Prosch, he was a genius at picking up the right man to block. Incomplete, they missed Williams.
Wow, and all of a sudden, this Auburn offense off to a very slow start. Only 6 plays, and you know, we're used to seeing them run the ball, get 1st downs, use the tempo, wear a defense down. You got to love this right now if you're Skip Holtz and Louisiana Tech. Your defense has only been on the field 6 plays so far.
Trent Taylor is back deep, and the Bulldogs could wind up with decent field position here, although Carlson's got the big leg. Remember, he also kicks off, kicks field goals. Freshman out of Colorado. Not a real good punt. Bulldogs stay away from it, and they are going to have good field position up at the 39-yard line of their own. Little unease with this homecoming crowd after that 34-yard punt. Bulldogs at bat next. Louisiana Tech and Auburn scoreless in the opening quarter. You know, some real good quarterbacks have come out of Louisiana Tech and Ruston, Louisiana. The best, of course, was Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw. He was legend with the Pittsburgh Steelers after he left there. But how about Tim Rattay? He threw the ball 1,552 times. Or how about Luke McCown after Rattay? He threw it even more, 1,775 times. How often did Bradshaw throw? Only 807 times. So there are three big names. And Rattay is now on the coaching staff of the Bulldogs. He's on Skip Holtz's staff.
He lost the sideburns. They can still sling it around, though, pretty good. He's getting a chance to watch another good one. This is Cody Sokol. They're transferred from Iowa at quarterback. You know, it's important, Brent, in this game that Sokol gets off to a fast start. That's something he hasn't been able to do so far early this year for Louisiana Tech, and you do not want to be digging yourself out of a hole here on the road in this hostile environment.
One of the leading receivers for the Bulldogs today.
That's right. That's right. The more you can do.
So Seats and Dixon will check into this lineup right now. They'll use two running backs, and they will bring Dixon on his first carry to the 40-yard line. Got a couple of yards, and that's about all against that front. You know, as we talk about the Auburn offense having some issues, there's no issues with this defensive front of Ellis Johnson.
No doubt
they
about it.
struggled against Arkansas, and Coach told us in a meeting he had a young freshman safety out of position. And Ellis said they burned us repeatedly. We made the adjustment at the half. We moved. The safety was shading to the outside, and they were able to run inside. And they got Holsey repositioned, and everything was good. Now on the sweep, Hunter Lee, one of the wideouts, and bangs for a first down. Nice run that time, and there's a penalty flag on that far side.
Louisiana Tech trying to get speed outside using Hunter Lee, who's a former running back here. It's a good play call. Execution just maybe too good.
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Remains second down.
So Skip was checking in with his wide receiver Carlos Henderson, #1, after the play, coaching him up on that far side. Take a look and see if it was Henderson.
Yeah, he's out there working one-on-one with Jonathan Jones. You're going to see right there grabbing 2 fists full of jersey. That's too easy a call to make for the referee. It's a good call. Could have been a potential first down for Louisiana Tech, now backed up 2nd and 10.
Dixon continues to move around. He will be the lead man this time. They bring another end around. It's Henderson with that speed trying to get him going. And this will be 3rd down coming up now.
One thing Louisiana Tech feels that they may have an advantage in this game offensively is with their wide receivers. And outside guys like Sterling Griffin and Paul Turner, they got inside guys from Trent Taylor and Hunter Lee. They feel like if they can get one-on-one matchups against man coverage against Auburn's secondary, they can make plays. So here's an opportunity, big 3rd down. Get a chance to go convert.
Dixon goes over to the quarterback's left side. Wide receivers are on that side, and now they bring motion through. Sokol's pass intercepted on the deflection. Adams, 30, 25. Big fella rumbling. Big fella's down to the 4-yard line. Pass was deflected by
It's Chris Frost, the outside linebacker, I think. Going to go back and check this again. 3rd down. Ellis Johnson loves to bring pressure, and he loves to bring his outside line. Look at 17 on the left side. Gets his paw up. And how about the big fella, as you said, Brent? All 306 pounds of Montravius Adams, the true sophomore. Rumbling, stumbling. That should help ignite Auburn's offense.
one thing Sokol can't do. Throw interceptions like he did last week against Northwestern State.
In a loss against the football championship subdivision team.
Now, who will try to strike first for the Auburn Tigers? And we have an official down here being tended to on the near side 10. He's up now. So we'll check on his condition while we go to break. This is Penn Wager's crew. He's the referee. He's over checking, and we'll take a break. John Langlois, he's the head linesman, was shaken up, and you can see him sitting on the Auburn bench getting a sip of water. And the Maria down below said it might be a little back spasm down there that affected him. First down and goal from the 5-yard line. Both quarterbacks are in. Both quarterbacks. Here's your alert. They worked on this on Thursday. Johnson will take the snap. Marshall is off to his right. So the passing quarterback has come in. Artis Payne gets the carry. Sweeps right. Pay dirt. Well, that'll give all the coaches in the SEC something to think about.
That's right.
Both those fellows out there on the field. Jonathan Wallace now comes in, checks over with the bench, and now they're going to go ahead and kick it. They use Wallace as a holder when they want to check and see that they might want to go for 2 points. He is not the regular holder for Auburn. Daniel Carlson checks in, so he was taking a look. Very creative kicking game here at Auburn. They do a terrific job with their special teams. I don't have to remind the Crimson Tide of that. 7-0. Auburn strikes after the Adams interception. Their ace running back, Artis Payne, for 6. Artis Payne from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Jesse, with the game's first touchdown.
It's a great play design by Gus Malzahn. A lot of different eye candy and things to look at if you're a defense. You've got a pulling guard going this way. You've got another pulling guard going this way. Cameron Artis Payne's going this way. But here's Nick Marshall running the fake reverse. So if you're a defense, you don't know where the ball's going. You've got a lot of action going east and west. Some confusion. They get frozen. And there's the big 210-pound running back doing nice vision, working his way in for pay dirt.
And there's the young man who set it all up with his interception. Sokol's passes have been low, and the Tigers have been able to get a hand on a couple of them. Fortunately for Louisiana Tech, the first one rebounded to the quarterback, but the second one wound up in the hands of Adams. And the Bulldogs are down by 7. Now Carlson, when we were here a few weeks back, he had one touchback after another with his kickoffs. Let's watch this one. They're coming out. Henderson with the speed. Looks alley right. Breaks free. 25. Needs a block on that far side. Jones stays there. And he is down at the 37-yard line. Great play by Jones, who stayed at home. 37-yard return. Dari Noko with an update.
Guys, it may be the play of the year in college football. It's not SEC related, but number 1 is in trouble. Watch this. NC State up 17-7. Former Gator Jacoby Brissett breaks one, somehow breaks another, throws it up to Jonathan Alston. Touchdown. Wolfpack up 24-7, guys.
Wow, Brissett played high school right down the street from me at Dwyer High School. He was with the Gators for a while before he transferred.
Yeah, they were very excited to get him there, and you can see why. He's got the ability to extend plays. We know Florida State's had issues with NC State here in recent years. Watch out.
Dixon into the middle, and he punishes that defense. Jesse, I was very, very interested in watching this young man run because his credentials are impeccable.
5'10", 214 pounds, and he runs really hard and runs very low to the ground. Broke out as a freshman, broke a bunch of Marshall Faulk's freshman records. This guy had 28 total touchdowns as a freshman. He's been balling at Louisiana Tech for a while.
Now Trent Taylor motions out, and they come back with him. This will be 3rd down. When you take a look at some of the career numbers on this young man, just as Jesse pointed out what he did as a freshman, and look at the bottom one, folks. That's 5th among the big guys. I mean, Todd Gurley's in that list down below. Okay, that's the kind of names.
Melvin Gordon.
And the neighborhood that he's hanging out in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This guy's a big-time player. He belongs on the field with Auburn. That's how good he is.
And, of course, Gus Malzahn tried to recruit him when he was the head coach at Arkansas State. Play action to him, slant, good pass. Best pass of the game by Sokol for a 1st down as he flips it. Mincy was the defender on Paul Turner.
Paul Turner, we talked about these receivers for Louisiana Tech that are going to have to win one-on-one. Paul Turner's a transfer from LSU. He's played big-time ball. Little play action fake. It's a quick throw, accurate on the body. Big first down conversion for Louisiana Tech.
Ball is spotted at the 47-yard line. Sokol going to go deep, incomplete. He overthrew Trent Taylor, number 5.
Right now, one thing I'm seeing is Auburn's defensive line dominating. And you'd expect that to happen in this game. They've done it for the last 2.5 games. They're physical, but they're also, the strength of Auburn's defense is their D-line. The weakness for Louisiana Tech's offense is their offensive line. A lot of inexperience playing up front. Pass protection has not been very good throughout the course of the year, and Cody Sokol's got to know in the back of his head he's got to get the football out quick, because this guy right here, Ellis Johnson, defensive coordinator, dialing up the heat.
Yeah, as a defensive coordinator, one of the best in the SEC, and there are some good ones. John Chavis will come in here with LSU. Kirby Smart, of course, with Nick Saban up the road in Tuscaloosa. You can go on and on with these fellows who coach defense down here. 3rd down and 8, Jesse.
So if you're Louisiana Tech, you got to be expecting pressure. Ellis Johnson loves to bring it. He's done it early in this game. He'll get Chris Frost at linebacker, Casanova McKenzie at linebacker. They have a mass substitution coming on defense right now for Auburn, getting smaller bodies. Montravius Adams, number 1, coming back out. They've got some pass rushers, some guys that can get after the quarterback.
Sokol fires, deflected, incomplete, and they are forced to punt. Threevesy with the coverage.
Pressure again in Cody Sokol's face. That time it was Gabe Wright, big number 90, forcing him to throw the football maybe a little bit sooner than he would have liked. And Skip Holtz knew coming into this game that the problem was going to be up front with his offensive line, and got to do a better job making these 3rd downs manageable for their quarterback and for their offense.
Logan McPherson back to punt for the Bulldogs. He's standing on his own 36. Bray back deep on the Auburn 10-yard line. Hangs it very high. Bray signals fair catch. Makes the fair catch at the 16-yard line. And let's go to the studio and Dari Noko with an update on the Aggies in Arkansas.
How about an SEC right now, brought to you by State Farm. Look at what's happening in Arlington. 7-7 game. Alex Collins for the Razorbacks, 7 carries, 82 yards. Bust this one for 50. They gave up the first touchdown. They've scored the next 2. Razorbacks up on Texas A&M, 14-7, guys.
Dari, here's the minefield, the SEC West. Take your pick.
How about
Auburn
that?
Right here, but Ole Miss has already beaten LSU in Baton Rouge. But
That was Mississippi State.
I should say Mississippi State,
Yep.
right? That was a great win. Dak Prescott, you've been bragging about him, you and the fellas. And Marshall keeps it this time and runs for a first down out to the 28. Just your feeling about Marshall having come off that game at Manhattan?
It was the best I'd seen him throw the football so far throughout his early career. You're seeing him now get involved in the running game, and that's a good idea if you're Gus Malzahn in Auburn.
They jumped the running game that time. The Bulldogs did. It'll be 2nd down and long. Passing situation come up. If there's anything that Auburn would like to improve on, it is the overall passing game. They would like to see what they can do in the early part of the course. Melvin Ray has checked in. He's one of the wide receivers. There's a pretty obvious passing down here. Bulldogs with 3 down linemen trying to rush 5. Marshall in trouble, couldn't find an open receiver. He's a good runner. Can he get the first down? Yes. And midfield down the sideline. Brilliant run.
What makes this offense so special and so unique versus other offenses that run the zone read running concepts is the speed of Nick Marshall. And you see right there, time and time again, watching game film, defenders are in position to make plays, and they just can't do it. Too much speed. Once he gets outside, he's like a wide receiver. He's that dangerous. He's a home run waiting to happen.
31 yards that time. Puts the ball into Louisiana Tech territory at the 40-yard line. Fultz is the H-back. He's to the left of Marshall. Now they motion him out. They flex him, and they're going to throw in that direction to the outside. And here comes Lewis. Ricardo Lewis breaks a tackle, and he's down at the 25-yard line.
And all of a sudden, better blocking, better execution from Auburn's offense. And it's not just inside the trenches, out on the perimeter of the field. You don't play wide receiver in Gus Malzahn's offense if you don't block. You saw a tremendous job of that on that last play.
Ernest Payne is the running back for Marshall. Fultz comes in motion again. Marshall keeps it and runs over to the left side. Cut off and bumped out of bounds at about the 24 by Liggins. And of course, the Tigers are waiting for Sammy Coates, and he's been slowed by an injury.
Well, Brent, you just mentioned they want more consistency in the pass game, and a big help would be getting this guy more involved. He had that knee injury week 1 against Arkansas, forced him to miss San Jose State. He's only got 3 catches so far this year. He could provide more balance to this passing game. They feel like he's getting closer to 100%.
Corey Grant play action. Marshall fires. No, almost intercepted at the 5-yard line by Liggins. Had a great shot at that. Bray was the intended receiver, and Liggins is telling himself, I should have caught that football.
Yeah, consistent accuracy is still your biggest concern, I think, when you watch Nick Marshall throw the football. Threw it really well against Kansas State last week, but this is a throw that he's very lucky was not intercepted. Should have been by Liggins. That's a ball he's got to put out in front of Quan Bray. He's going to catch that and score.
Good reaction by Bray with that right hand, Jesse. Whipping it around. So here is 3rd down now in a passing situation. Fires for the incomplete. He led his receiver, who's looking for a flag, and Ray is not going to get it.
When I saw that live, it looked like safety Xavier Woods may have gotten a hand on Melvin Ray. It wasn't that there was defensive holding. Just take a look at it again here. You see Ray's just going to try to run by him. He kind of hooked him with that right arm. Right. Slowed down Ray's momentum. I think they may have gotten away with the call right there.
So Carlson saved a touchdown with that hook. Okay, this will be spotted at the 31, so it's a 41-yard field goal here for Carlson. He's on the left hash now, and Stovall, the regular holder, is on the field. Slides it to the right. That's his 2nd miss. He missed his first field goal of the season. Made all the rest, and here he's missed his 2nd. Louisiana Tech down a touchdown, gets the football. Tonight, SEC Network's full day of gridiron action concludes. 7:30, Les Miles and LSU will try to get back on the winning track against New Mexico State. Game available live on Watch ESPN. So all you folks in the SEC West, enjoy this now. Enjoy 22-0 because you're about to start playing each other. So, you know, great hopes are going to start to crumble. Others are going to start to rise. Who knows what's going to happen in the SEC West.
It's like we've been saying, right? 9th best division in the NFL.
No question.
It's deeper than I can ever remember, Brent. Because of that, because of how many good teams there are in the SEC West, I don't envision there being an undefeated SEC team at the end of the year.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's the selection committee in the playoff. There's going to be some decisions to be made.
Dixon's hit it at backfield beautifully. Number 42, President, President, a sophomore from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, rips in to make the tackle.
The biggest improvement on Auburn's team, period, has been their run defense. They're physical up front, but they're deep. They play 10 different guys. That's a 3rd-string defensive end. Gamel President getting penetration and making that play. They've got monsters all over that front here at Auburn.
2nd down and 14. Sokol has to run away from pressure and basically throw this one away out of bounds. So it'll be 3rd down and long now, and that was Justin Garrett who was bringing heat.
And that play was made by defensive end Gabe Wright, big number 90. He sniffed out the screen right from the get-go. I think he was lined up right over the center. I'm not sure. I can't tell by this angle. No, he's on the right side, number 90. You see that right away. As soon as he sees the running back get out and he sees the lineman bail, he forces Cody Sokol to hold on to the football and have to throw that away.
5 wide receivers. Louisiana Tech gambling that they can hold up against this rush on 3rd and long. No protection. Sokol back. Pocket holds, incomplete. They did a pretty good job of blocking that time, and Paul Turner, the intended target, but they'll be forced to punt again.
We talked about how Cody Sokol had to get off to a fast start. We haven't seen him be very accurate so far, but that's what happens when you start getting hit This Auburn defensive front having their way. Gives you happy feet. Kind of wiggles the rifle barrel a little bit with respect to accuracy. Throwing high right now. He's going to have to calm himself down. Moving ahead in this football game.
Threezy comes into the backfield. They put 2 deep men for this punt. Quan Bray says, let it bounce. Now he fields it on the big hop. He saved some yardage, and he's looking for an alley. 45. I'll tell you, Quan Bray is as good a punt return man as I've seen. He saw that taking the big hop after waving everybody off, but he said, I've got to save it even if I get hit.
It's one thing, Brent, that Auburn has done a very good job of so far this year. On special teams, this is the 3rd best punt return unit when you talk about averaging 29 yards a return. And this gets set up. They've got a wall set to the outside. You see a great block right there by number 20. You got Marcus Davis, a wide receiver, out in front, setting up a wall to the left side. Always helps when you've got speed. Quan Bray certainly has that.
Straight handoff to the ace, Artis Payne, and let's check in down below with Maria.
Guys, there may be some communication issues on the offensive line. I heard center Reese Dismuke saying we need to get on the same page, and J.B. Grimes, offensive line coach, was really getting after Sean Coleman as well, saying these plays are on the script. You should know where you're supposed to be, guys.
Yeah, they've got some issues that they're trying to iron out. No question about that, Maria. Jesse has documented it. 2nd down and 10. The ball on the Bulldogs' 43-yard line. Louisiana Tech hanging tough. Marshall in trouble. Down at the 45, and that was Terrell Pinson from Tupelo, Mississippi, where Elvis Presley was born.
Well, there you go. I like Manny Diaz, Louisiana Tech's defensive coordinator, dialing up pressure coming off the edge. Auburn trying to pull 2 offensive linemen. They're going to make it look like play action. Look at the top of the screen, though. You're going to see 31 lined up in the slot. Manny Diaz at D coordinator. He's not going to let Nick Marshall just sit back in the pocket and have all day.
Limping off the field was Patrick Miller, the right tackle, and Danzy moves over to that spot. Auburn down a right tackle. 3rd down, Artis Payne going to get the flip from Marshall. And he crosses the 45-yard line. That's back to about the original line of scrimmage there. And that was Feet making the stop. Bo Feet, number 6 for Louisiana Tech. And basically, this game comes down to 1 turnover, setting up a short touchdown burst for Auburn. Otherwise, we got an equal.
Yeah. Louisiana Tech's defense has been winning on 1st and 2nd down, setting up 3rd and longs. And when they've been out in the field, Gus Malzahn and Auburn, hard to convert 3rd downs that long. Doesn't matter if you're the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams, they've got issues.
They've got to switch punters. Matthew Shield, you saw him once. He's the Aussie. He'll try the pooch punt. And it's out of bounds. He punted once against Kansas State, and let's see where they mark the ball. They're going to mark it at the 11-yard line. And a reminder to tune in Sunday. SEC Network brings you a rewind of a classic SEC game, Missouri versus South Carolina. Tigers fought back from a 21-point deficit in the 1st quarter to defeat the Gamecocks in the Independence Bowl. Missouri, South Carolina, 2005, Sunday at 10 p.m. on the SEC Network. Let me correct myself. That's out about the 17-yard line. So he kept on coming up. What happens is that side judge walks and he looks at the referee, and they point at each other, and they set where it went out of bounds, and they moved it to the 17-yard line. Tough field position here, Jesse, for the Louisiana Tech.
And what do you do right now on offense? You can't block Auburn up front. You're trying to get the ball out of Sokol's hands quickly. We talked about Kenneth Dixon getting him going.
Sokol complete on 1st down, but not much of a gain there with Garrett making another stop on Lee. Garrett hammering away with that, playing well out there right now. End of the 1st quarter. Auburn, a huge favorite, leads by only 7 on homecoming weekend here. Auburn, Alabama. Homecoming in the South. A lot of photo opportunities here. Very busy coach here at Auburn, Gus Malzahn. Yesterday morning he was watching film. He was finishing his prep. And then he had a meeting with us after this. Then he had to take off after that for an appearance at the Friday football luncheon in front of about 200 Tiger fans at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That all came after he returned from a recruiting trip late Friday afternoon. Does that man ever sleep?
Head coach of the SEC, man. Defending SEC champions. You know you're going to have a full schedule, kind of like you. You got places to be, huh? That's right. You got places to be.
Mercy. Well, Louisiana Tech trailing by 7, and they'll have the ball just inside their 20-yard line. Tigers have been doing a good job against Dixon. Toss play to him to see if he can get the edge. He's cut off, shakes a tackle, but 2, 3, 4, and 5 bring him down. And let's check in on Maria.
2 injuries to starters for Auburn's defense. Linebacker Chris Frost, they took him back into the locker room, put a knee brace on that left knee. He has not had his helmet since. And the defensive tackle, Montravius Adams, he's back in the locker room right now. They were looking at his left shoulder before he left the sidelines, guys.
Maria, if they lose Chris Frost, that's a big loss. As you see Adams now heading back inside. Chris Frost is the leader of this defense. Number 17, you see him right there. We already talked about big suspension at safety, playing without some of their best players. See how that impacts this team.
3rd down, Sokol incomplete and blanket coverage. Jonathan Jones, he injured his hand in practice. If you check one of the hands, it is heavily wrapped. You can see right there, they've taped together the 2 fingers, and he is plain injured here today.
It's good to see that if you're an Auburn fan, because this Jonathan Jones, he's been the guy that other teams have picked on this year out of corner. Deep throws down the field, had some pass interferences against Lockett, the best receiver from Kansas State, had his hands full in that game, already competing. He might be only one-handed, but competing pretty well.
So Marcus Davis is going to help out on this punt return. Quan Bray is also back there. This is Marcus Davis, midfield, and he is down at the 46-yard line. So I guess, Jesse, the question, and I'm sure the Auburn fans are wondering right now, are we going to get this running game percolating again?
That's absolutely it. It all starts up front by this offensive line. They've got to be more physical. They have to assert themselves. These last 2 games now, we haven't seen them do that. And as you can see, when they can't run the football, they fall out of sorts. They can't use their tempo. They get in long 3rd downs. It just gets them out of a rhythm in everything they do. And to reestablish that, they've got to have success running it early on downs, 1st and 2nd down.
Well, they'll try it on 1st down, and that breaking was Corey Grant. So Grant replaced Artis Payne for this series, and that's a big gain on 1st down. So this makes it a very manageable 2nd and 3rd down if they need it. Grant steps outside. So he might be getting more reps as the power back. Remember, there was an issue when the season started whether or not they could have Artis Payne or Grant replacing Trey Mason. And right now, Grant looks good, Jesse, stepping to the outside and finding avenues.
He's probably their fastest player.
Marshall keeps it. Lethal off the run. Into the red zone. Another 1st down at the 13. Woods stops it.
And this is what we're used to seeing from Auburn on offense. Right now, the offensive line doing a better job up front, getting pushed. They're pulling linemen, getting bodies into the secondary, 2nd level, opening up bigger creases.
A little bit of tempo right now. Grant is stopped. This will be 2nd down.
And I think there's a big myth that Auburn's a finesse offense. They run a lot of zone read, they do run tempo, but at their core, they're a power running team. They run power, counter, they pull offensive linemen inside zone. You've got guys like Cameron Artis Payne, 210 pounds, running downhill. That's where it all starts for Auburn. We got to see more of that.
Artis Payne came in and gets the handoff, and now he slashes down the sideline and out of bounds. He had stepped out of bounds at about the 6-yard line.
And this is power football, Brent. You've got 2 guards pulling on this play, getting bigger 300-pound bodies out in front of Cameron Artis Payne. Take a look at this again in the all-22. Big bodies pulling and moving. This is going downhill. There's a giant crease. That's what we're used to seeing from Auburn running the football.
Full sets up on the left. Artis Payne on that draw play, but the Bulldogs aren't fooled. They swallow him at about the 9-yard line. Andre Taylor from Round Rock, Texas, was certainly in on that tackle.
I got to say, with the exception of Auburn's touchdown by Cameron Artis-Payne, I think Louisiana Tech defensively has done a great job with their eye discipline. You know you're playing Gus Malzahn, pulling linemen, guys in motion, faking handoffs. Manny Diaz, a defensive coordinator, he's had success against the Gus Malzahn offense before when he was the DC at Mississippi State. He's coached his guys up very well.
That's when Malzahn was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Gene Chizik, the head coach, and Cam Newton was winning a Heisman at a national championship.
That's right.
Tough game against Mississippi State, and now stopped on 3rd down. Carlson on from the right hash this time. So certainly we have found a weakness. He missed one from the left hash, made from the right. That a 25-yarder, and Auburn goes up by 10. Oh, that left hash for kickers. Right-footed kickers, I should say. Famed Toomer's Corner. And that's where Tiger fans celebrate wins. They unload that tea paper and all the trees that used to be there, but they were poisoned by a University of Alabama fan during that run to the BCS championship. But they're going to be replaced, folks, in a couple of years. Celebrating its 9th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, All-State makes contributions to participate in the University General Scholarship Funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Since 2005, All-State's contributed more than $3.4 billion in scholarship funds, and we thank them a bunch. Carlos Henderson will be one of the return men for the Bulldogs. He's back there, number 1 on your left side of the screen, and Abraham to the right.
Carlos Henderson, he's one of the fastest players that Louisiana Tech has. You figure in a game like this, when you're outmatched physically, mano-a-mano, you need a spark in special teams. How big would that be right here at some point in this game, in the return game? Saw Vanderbilt get 2 of them last week against South Carolina.
If there's any breeze, my friend, he won't get a chance. Maybe next time. Let's go to Dari Nowkhah for an update. Dari?
All right, Brent, how about an SEC Right Now? Brought to you by State Farm. Tracking what's going on at Jerry World. Razorbacks up 14-7 on Texas A&M. Kenny Hill finds Edward Pope 8 yards. Hill, though, just 35 yards passing, guys. They're in the second, tied at 14.
All right, Dari, look at the scoreboard now. Tennessee hung tough, but Georgia a winner at home. Kentucky, but only by 10 over Vanderbilt. Dari updated the 1, and there you can see our night schedule. Memphis, Ole Miss, New Mexico State, LSU, and Missouri and South Carolina.
It's going to be a good one. But congratulations to Mark Stoops, head coach of Kentucky, getting his first conference win in the SEC.
Dixon, play action. Sokol in trouble. And it's the performance of that defensive front. Therese, he's a game changer. He changed that Arkansas game that we're here for when he crashed into a quarterback, and that brought about an interception.
And Brent, Auburn hasn't had the prototypical pass rush you're used to seeing. They lost D Ford the first round of defensive end last year in the NFL. And Carl Lawson's out with an ACL injury. So Ellis Johnson has to dial up blitzes. Here he brings the corner from the left side, and Therese playing that star linebacker position off the slot. They've had to find different ways to get pressure on quarterbacks, but they've been able to do it. It's just come from smaller guys.
Henderson and Turner are the wide receivers. Seats and Dixon are in as the running backs. They'll run the draw play with Dixon, and that's a good run to the 25-yard line. But it's still going to bring up 3rd and long.
And it's an Auburn defense now. We can tell they're playing with a different swagger that they didn't necessarily have at the start of the year because they know they're getting better. Think back to the Kansas State game. They gave up 285 yards to an offense that had scored 30 points in 9 straight games. So they're feeling it a little bit. It all starts up front with those defensive linemen. But Ellis Johnson, he's subbing in guys. They got a lot of different dudes that have had success playing with a little bit of a different emotion than I think a lot of people expected to see this early in the year.
Taylor and Turner are the Bulldog wide receivers to the left, and now motioning is Trent Taylor. Sokol looks to the right, fires to him, and they've got a first down on the completion. Trent Taylor.
Trent Taylor, only a true sophomore. He's not a big guy, just 5'8", 178 pounds, but he's tough and not afraid to go over the middle against this bigger Auburn defense. You're going to see him in the slot. It's just a simple slant throw. In traffic, he knows he's going to get popped. There's an accurate throw by Cody Sokol, getting the ball down. We saw him miss earlier in this game high, kind of settling down now, getting into his rhythm.
Sokol 5 of 12. And as Jesse said, seems to be settling more into a rhythm. One very costly interception. And again, he comes back to Trent Taylor. And Taylor with a good gain on first down. Holsey. And of course, he was a one-time wide receiver here at Auburn. Now a defensive back.
And Brent, Cody Sokol was a key acquisition that Skip Holtz was able to find. We talked about how he transferred in from Iowa. And as a senior, you know, he's got arm talent. You see that. But understanding the passing game, reading defenses, that's what gave him an opportunity to compete for and start right away. When he arrived here in the summer, he's a tremendous leader, really, really tough, commands respect from his teammates. It's been a good story early this year.
Young man out of Arizona, hands off to Dixon. And Dixon is stopped before he can get the first down. This is going to bring up third and short. Trey Williams out of Mobile, Alabama, with the stop for the Tigers.
And I think if I'm Tony Peterson, the offensive coordinator from Louisiana Tech now, I'm seeing my offensive line struggle up front. So why not try to move, get this thing outside? You might want to get Dixon in the running game on the perimeter of the field, allow him to use his speed, or give your quarterback a run-pass option on the outside.
Peterson up above. Here comes your third down and short. And they run Henderson trying to get that speed. They've got the first down. Midfield. Doesn't want to give it up, though, when he cuts back and he's out of bounds in Tiger territory.
Nice job with the balance. And there's a great play call by Peterson, an offensive coordinator, getting outside, trying to use your speed. We mentioned how Henderson's one of their fastest players. So he's got to get his touches. You know, you can throw it to him, but there's creative ways. Using a jet sweep like we see right there. Very, very good play call by Tony Peterson.
Now on first down, Skip Holtz prefers both running backs, Seats and Dixon. And he checks in with them now, and Henderson will go to the sideline. They're in Auburn territory. Checking with the sideline to see what the play call is. Hunter Lee slotted to the left. Comes in motion through the formation. Runs a circle route, but they drop it off to Dixon. And Louisiana Tech has found something moving out to the edges.
Yeah, and you know what? They're going after true freshman linebacker Trey Williams, number 30. We talked about Chris Frost, team leader, out in this game with an injury right now. So they're going to test this young true freshman. He's got a lot of ability, Brent. He was the 4th ranked inside linebacker coming out of high school. But right now you're forcing him to make quick decisions. Hasn't played a lot of snaps this year. You're forcing him to make plays on the perimeter of the field.
And Dixon is off the field. Blake Martin checks in as the running back. So Dixon is off the field right now on this second down and 3. And they run the reserve with a burst, a spin to the 27-yard line and down. Mercy, this young man came in at his first carry of the game. He's out of Lucas, Texas for 13 yards.
Louisiana Tech got great movement up front. They got a double team on the defensive tackle, Angelo Blackson, and that created a massive hole. We talked about how this is the weakness of this Louisiana Tech offense. Didn't look like it right there.
Oh, that young man with a burst. They give it to him on a draw play. They go right back to the middle of that defense, down to the 25-yard line. It'll be second down at about 7 with President making the stop.
So you're seeing good play calling again by their offensive coordinator, Tony Peterson. He understands this Auburn front 4. They're trying to get up the field. They're trying to get pressure. So there's different things you can do. You can throw swing passes outside. You can run draws. Try and take advantage of that pass rush by Auburn, use it against them. It's been a very good-looking drive so far by Louisiana Tech.
And guess who's back? The very arrested Mr. Dixon. Martin is out. Dixon, now it's his turn. And he battles toward that first down marker with McKenzie hanging on. Not only has there been good play calling, Jesse, a little depth at running back that gave Dixon a blow.
No doubt about it. And he's able to come on. You can see what he can do when he's full speed. Tremendous balance and the ability to always fall forward. He's got that knack. Keeps his shoulder pads level to the playing surface. Little skip. Stays on his feet.
This is tough for Dixon, twisting against that front. Without a helmet, Gaston will have to go out for a play. So they stuff the front that time. And that'll bring up a 4th down. And Skip Holtz, a big underdog, is not going to go for the field goal. Right now, hold on.
Ooh.
He may be sending the kicking unit out. He's got the kicker out on the field. I thought for a moment on 4th down and 2 against that front, he was going to go for it.
Yeah, you know, I think that's probably what's concerning him the most right now. And obviously, common sense tells you to do this. Keep it a one-possession game. You just figure on the road against this team.
Jonathan Barnes with a 37-yarder on its way off to the right. Guess what? Another left hash. Missing to the right. He's probably second-guessing himself over there on that sideline.
No, I think so right now, kind of putting his faith. And again, I understand the decision to do that, but against this team on the road on homecoming, looking for their 300th win in Jordan-Hare Stadium history, I think you got to go.
His daddy would have gone. Manny Diaz's Louisiana Tech defense playing very well, and as just told you a short time ago, he squared off against Malzahn back in 2010. All right, Cam Newton to Emory Blake. That's a 39-yard touchdown for the Tigers. But Mississippi State was led by Chris White, KJ Wright, and it took some late heroics on the part of Newton to pull this one out, because Whitley intercepted him in the end zone, and in the end, just 17-14.
I helped call that game, Brent. If you take a look at Manny Diaz's resume, the coaching profession is so fickle, and he's been on a roller coaster ride. You see stops at Florida State. He was later at NC State, the D coordinator at Middle Tennessee, before getting that job at Mississippi State, and that's where he became the it guy, known for thinking outside the box, being aggressive, hard to game plan for, and that's why Mac Brown hired him at Texas.
Only 122 total yards here, Jess, against Manny's defense. Artis Payne and Marshall keeping it behind him that time, and so Diaz doing an outstanding job. And
he gets to Texas. People forget his first year, they were the best defense in the Big 12. It was the second year they had statistically the worst year in school history. Later on last year, they give up 550 rushing yards to BYU, and all of a sudden, Manny Diaz is out of a job. You go from being the it guy to unemployed, and unfortunately, that's the reality sometimes in the coaching profession.
Artis Payne coming from the left side and repositioned, and that'll be just a little short of a first down. Let me update you on the story of Patrick Miller. He's from Palm Beach, Florida, the junior right tackle. He will not return this quarter, and at halftime, they'll reevaluate to see if he's going to be able to return. 3rd down and short for this Auburn offense. Artis Payne breaks for the first down with a hold to the 35-yard line.
The Louisiana Tech's defense is fighting in this game, Brent, and just to kind of put a bow on Manny Diaz, it was a great hire by Skip Holtz. He believes he's a future star, going to be a head coach one day. I think he's one of the brighter defensive minds in college football, young guys.
Artis Payne steps to the outside and comes across the 40 to the 41. Tony Johnson.
As you see, Auburn now starting to get a little bit more of a rhythm. Manny Diaz is going to have to get the energy back up in this front 7 from Louisiana Tech. Auburn starting to assert itself up front in the O-line.
Marshall checks over the sideline. Quarterback draw all the way. They saw something, and Marshall got the signal for the quarterback draw play. And he ran it there. If the yellow line indicates it's going to be a first down. The chains move on that far side. 4 minutes to go. Auburn would like to close out this half with an impressive drive. They've been stymied so far by this Louisiana Tech defense. There's Artis Payne at the edge. Good gain on first down.
Another example, Brent, power football. Linemen pulling, bigger bodies outside, being followed by a 210-pound running back. You're going to see linemen moving to the right side of your screen. This is counter. Downhill. Everything's down. This is not finesse football. Bring your big boy pads if you're a defense trying to stop this running game.
And Artis Payne breaks daylight. And he's to the 42-yard line.
And when they're able to get this kind of success, they can pick the tempo back up. You see Louisiana Tech now subbing off, mass substitutions. They can wear people down. This is the tempo they want to play at.
So Rhett Lashley, a former quarterback back in the day with Gus Malzahn on the sideline, the two of them are calling the plays. Once upon a time, down Arkansas State, Lashley was up in the booth. He will not be standing next to Malzahn. They are separated by yards so that they're able to look at different things, and you can see Gus animated on the sideline. There is Lashley. Now they will station themselves. One will look at the secondary, and the other will check his own team. You can see they're standing far apart from each other. They are able to talk on the headset. They usually do it between series. Marshall keeps it, swings left side, and was bumped out of bounds before the first down by Liggins. Liggins, a good-looking football player.
Yeah, he sure is. But, Brent, we talked earlier about the biggest loss on Auburn's offense was Jay Prosch at fullback. So they've replaced him with Brandon Fultz, 6'4", 260-pound fullback on that last play. Did a nice job getting a cut block, allowing Nick Marshall to get outside. They don't have the same kind of physicality in the offense maybe they had a year ago. They have to do things a little bit differently.
Grant is alongside Marshall. Another quarterback draw. So Lashley and Malzahn have found the quarterback draw play. Brooks with the stop here, but it's another first down, 2:46. And there's a young man who someday will definitely wind up as a head coach. Did a fabulous job last year in guiding this team all the way to the BCS championship game. And there you get an idea of how they stand separate from each other. Marshall keeps it. Beautiful fake. So Marshall is now starting to pick up his own running game here. I think he's kept it about 10 times in this game so far. Rushed for 87 yards. He's closing in on 100 yards running.
You know, it's a great read by him. You're going to see on the outside, linebacker's going to come screaming down the line. Nick Marshall has to pull this football on the zone read. He's done this time and time again.
Pulls it, fakes the pass, slips a tackle, 10-yard line, pushed out of bounds.
This type of offense, Brent, as a quarterback running the zone reads, you've got to make split-second decisions. They've got to be the right decision so quickly. And Rhett Lashley and this coaching staff has done a great job coaching Nick Marshall up. He's a natural for this system. It's not just making good decisions in the passing game, it's the running game as well. As you see Jeremy Johnson now in the game at quarterback.
So Jeremy Johnson's number 6. He'll take the direct snap. Marshall's off to the right. Second time they've shown this formation. And another handoff. This is Grant trying to get the edge. Cut off, and he's out of bounds. At about the 9-yard line, there's a penalty flag. Woods was the defender for the Bulldogs.
They try to fake Nick Marshall on the reverse again to see if they could get the same flow they got when they had their touchdown.
Number 62, offense. Penalty 10 yards from the previous spot. Remains second down.
And that's the very good guard, left guard, Chad Slade.
I think he's actually playing, yeah, I think he's playing right guard right now. They actually moved him to the other side of the formation. How big would this be, though? Minute 41 seconds left in the half. To get another score, 17, try to get this thing to 17 points. Going at halftime, really kind of seize this momentum.
Marshall moves back to his familiar quarterback spot. Sammy Coates checks in along with Fultz. Artis Payne alongside. Play action. Touchdown Williams. Duke Williams. And the crowd chanting Duke.
And I don't know how Duke Williams made this catch. I know, having watched film of him, having already seen him live twice this year, he's got unbelievable catch radius. That's one of the best I've seen. That is his best catch so far this year. That was unbelievable.
Daniel Carlson makes it a 17-point Auburn advantage. Take a look at this catch. That ball might even have been deflected.
It was deflected by a linebacker, and then he palms it with his left hand in between two defenders. ESPN Top 10 nominee, Sports Center, where are you?
Have I got one for you, NFL?
SEC Network Football is brought to you by Belk, the home of modern Southern style. Visit belk.com today.
Well, in case you missed this catch by Williams for a touchdown, Video of the TD is now posted on the Sports Center app, and that's available on your mobile devices, tablets, Jesse, wherever they need it.
Well, Brent, Louisiana Tech can't believe they didn't get an interception. Watch Tony Johnson, a middle linebacker right here. He's watching Nick Marshall the entire way. He's going to drop back into his zone and actually get a hand on this throw as he tries to fit it into the post. Number 7, Xavier Woods, is going to have his 3rd interception of the year, but it's the freak show. Duke Williams, the number 1 JUCO player a year ago, who's become one of the best wide receivers in the SEC, working over the middle like he's done all year long, sticking out that big left paw, pulling that in for a huge score, giving Auburn the 17-0 lead. Wow.
Henderson and Abraham back deep for Carlson's kickoff, with the last one in the end zone. Big leg. Good weapon. Comes out on the 25. 1:36 to go. Auburn shutting out Louisiana Tech and Skip Holtz. Meanwhile, back here in Auburn on a beautiful homecoming Saturday. Temperature about 73, 74 degrees. It is gorgeous. Sellout crowd on hand. Undefeated Tigers lead Louisiana Tech 17-0, but here's a stat that'll cause some unease. On 3rd downs today, Auburn is only 1 of 6 against Louisiana Tech. That's not customary territory for a Gus Malzahn offense. And the run is stuffed. The defensive front, on the other hand, is doing a magnificent job. Louisiana Tech with less than 100 total yards here in the first half. Only 87 total yards for the Bulldogs.
And that's the key for Auburn up front defensively. These guys eat blocks. Linebackers are able to run free on that last play. You saw Casanova McKenzie and Anthony Swain converging around the football. Skip Holtz here with 2 timeouts left in his pocket. Hasn't gotten on the scoreboard yet. Of course, his kicker's already missed a kick. We saw that in the last drive. And now that kind of speaks to why in this kind of game, I think if you're Skip Holtz and Louisiana Tech, when you've got chances to go for it on 4th down and look for touchdowns, you need to, because as we know, Auburn can score in a hurry.
Now you're going to want to listen to the ESPN Radio's Paul Feinbaum on Monday afternoon. That's right, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's 2 p.m. over here in the Central Time Zone, Alabama. Those Crimson Tide callers are going to be calling in. They're not playing today, so you know they're watching Auburn. And you know that Al from Montgomery is going to call, say, Paul, that Auburn Tiger team is overrated. And you're going to listen to Paul take on his buddies Monday afternoon. It's always a good listen. The voice of the SEC. Complete to the outside receiver that time. That's Trent Taylor from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Seeing if they can muster something up here. Using that sideline now, setting up a 3rd manageable. And I said earlier, Tech only had 2 timeouts left. They actually had 3. That was Auburn. I made a mistake. It was Auburn that used their timeout. So still, plenty of time here. But this is big now, because if you don't get this 3rd down, you give the football back to Nick Marshall and Auburn with 2 timeouts in their pocket. And as we know, they can score fast. They can blow this thing wide open.
Dixon has been stopped. They have been all over Dixon, so they go to the pass for the 1st down. Trent Taylor, ball on the ground. Ball fumbled. Auburn's got it with 1:15 to go. And that is Adams, who has already intercepted a pass. Now I believe he's at the bottom of that pile and recovered a fumble. He also injured, came back. Watch the big fella.
Tremendous effort on this play. Ball goes over his head, doesn't quit, turns around, chases the ball, because you never know what's going to happen. He's able to fall on this football. And Brent, I would argue that part of the resurgence of Auburn defense this year, especially in recent games, has been turnovers. Each of the last 2 games leading into today, they had 3 takeaways. Brent, they've already got 2 today.
Jones is pretty good with one hand. He forced that fumble.
How about that?
Okay. Well, here we go. Trying to get another one before the intermission. They got 1:15 to work with. There's that fake. And they brought Grant around. The Bulldogs weren't fooled. Back to the 45-yard line. Quick timeout is called. doesn't really matter down at distance. They got to be trying to get it down there now and see if they can either kick a field goal or score a touchdown.
But Brent, the reason why Auburn's 1 for 6 in this game on third downs, as you just mentioned a moment ago, is because of plays like that on first down. When you're going backwards and you're setting up long chains, again, I said it. I don't care if it's 1999 Kurt Warner and St. Louis Rams and the greatest show on turf. With Bruce, Isaac, and Akeem and all those guys out there. You see going left and right, sideline to sideline, penetration in the backfield by cornerback, sorry, by linebacker Trell Pinson, and this is tough to do. These are tough to convert.
If Malzahn wants to look field goal right here, Jesse, he needs to get that ball down, I would think, around the 30-yard line and set up a 47-yarder, although he says that Carlson can kick 50-yarders. He told us that in a meeting yesterday.
Well, if Auburn...
There is the line. If what he told us yesterday is the 38-yard line, I'm saying it's a little bit safer inside that. Artis Payne is a running back. Second down. Great time for Marshall. Checks it down, and that was a low throw and complete to Coates. And they've got it about that line.
So we said they've struggled on third down. Leading the nation coming into this game on third down, but today only 1 for 6 because of these third and long situations like they have right now. So where's Duke Williams at number 1? He's going to be at the top of the screen. You see him right here in the slot.
That's a quick huddle. They break out of it. They snap fast. Going deep. Touchdown, Quan Bray. The fumble leads to a touchdown after an interception led to an earlier touchdown. Turnovers are killing Louisiana Tech the last 2 weeks.
It's a great job by the offensive line with pass protection. They faked the quick screen outside. They had one-on-one outside on Quan Bray, one-on-one with Duke Williams in the slot. Good decision by Nick Marshall and a beautiful throw.
So they haven't been that effective on long drives, but the quick strike touchdown, Auburn does. And they pounce on the turnovers.
You just blink your eyes when you're playing this team with the offense they have and all the speed and all the playmakers they have. And this is exactly what happens. I remember just a moment ago, I felt like it was 10-0. Here you go back and take a look at the catch. It's Quan Bray. It's a perfect throw on the inside shoulder away from the defender Liggins at cornerback. They've got weapons, Brent. I mean, this offense last year, it was really one-dimensional. They were a running offense, led the nation in rushing yards. This year, with the addition of Duke Williams, a wide receiver, and you know, we know Sammy Coates, a wide receiver, has been banged up a little bit, but guys like Quan Bray and Melvin Ray and some other players on the perimeter have given them an opportunity to be a more balanced, more efficient attack, both running and throwing the football.
Still, Auburn misses Prosh and Mason. And the big left tackle.
Doesn't show up on the scoreboard always. That's what happens. I mean, when you have success, you recruit. And certainly, Gus Malzahn's got some young true freshmen playing at a very high level. We've seen some young guys on defense in this game making plays as well.
Road ahead. LSU's next week.
Yep.
Carlson, Henderson going to return this one from the 2-yard line. Here he comes. Looking for the outside. Can he get the edge? 25. Forced out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. And a penalty flag.
It's been a very clean game up to this point, Brent. Only 2 penalties called in the entire first half up until that play right there. That could be costly, though, if that's against Auburn for a late hit out of bounds. That's going to put Louisiana Tech in very good position here to try and score some points.
After the play is over, personal foul, number 6 on the kicking team. Penalty 15 yards from the end of the run, automatic, first down.
Watch Mincy here.
In pursuit. Look at number 6 at the top. You got to kind of peel off. I mean, you know, it doesn't floor him. It's not a close. That's kind of a borderline call, I would say. Borderline call. Wasn't necessarily a violent hit. One the referees deemed illegal. And again, that's going to give Louisiana Tech now better field position. Still with all 3 of their timeouts. So they can work the middle of the field. They've got time here. They've had success with Trent Taylor over the middle of the field. You're going to see him down here in the slot.
28 seconds remaining. Sokol does look middle. Got it complete on that first pass to Trent Taylor again. Trent Taylor's been kind of a go-to guy for him here today. He's the leading receiver, 5 catches, 53 yards, and they've targeted him 6 times.
You know, and they're using him against Justin Garrett, who plays that star position for Auburn, like Robinson Threezy. But Justin Garrett's a bit bigger. He's 6'1", 225. He's more of a run stopper, and right there, Cody Sokol saw a matchup he liked, smaller, quicker wide receiver against the big body, took advantage of it.
So, you know, we talk about the defensive line, and we've got to credit the associate head coach, the defensive line coach. He's a legend around the SEC, Rodney Garner. Rodney, of course, played here, and you can see the difference in that on that front, and it's led by the performance of the defensive linemen. And when fellas like Lambert showed up and became outside rushers, that allowed them to move Adams into the inside. Then they were able to use Whitaker, Blackson, and Bradley also inside. Ladarius Owens pushing Gabe Wright. And there is Rodney Garner, father of 6 daughters. We're going to get into that story in the second half. And that pass is into the red zone here.
What a catch.
Again, back to Taylor.
That was unbelievable. Doing his best Duke Williams impression. You got to check this out. Cody Sokol tries to throw the corner out to the left side of the field. It looked like he threw that behind his intended receiver, and it was Taylor that goes back with his left hand and paused this as well. This is unbelievable. Check this out. It's the right read by Sokol. He just doesn't get this football out far enough in front. He's got a body all over him. That's number 23, Jonathan Ford. Tremendous job with the concentration. How about Sokol sitting in the pocket, taking a huge shot from Gabe Wright? We talked about how he's tough. He'll sit back there and deliver the ball, and that's a way that you gain respect from your players and teammates. He is very fortunate to hang on to that football. That football was loose on the body, and he secured it as he was rolling over. Nice grab. So you got 13 seconds left, Brent. You got 1 timeout still, sitting here at about the 16-yard line. You got time for a shot. You got time to get some more yards. You see Coach Gardner there on the sideline, D-line coach for Auburn. Man-to-man coverage. There's the shot to the end zone. Incomplete. They wanted interference. They didn't get it. Paul Turner was working against Reed, the former wide receiver. Trevon Reed brings a different physicality to this coverage, and you're going to see him up top. He's a converted wide receiver, but he's a bigger guy with longer arms. He has the ability to go mano-a-mano. Last week against Tyler Lockett, he basically took Kansas State's best receiver in the second half of that game, shut him down, had a big pick. He's a guy you're going to see play more here at Auburn, and he should. NC is on the boundary this time, and he'll be matched against Griffin. Sokol, and there's a penalty flag. Play is stopped. This apparently is going to make it a little bit tougher.
False start. Offense. 75. 5-yard penalty. Remain second down. Reset the game clock to 9 seconds.
You can see why for this front for Louisiana Tech, it's somewhat understandable why you kind of get jittery because of this pass rush, up the field rush Auburn's been presenting. 3 wide to the field. Throws a screen pass in that direction. Upended at the 7 is Hunter Lee. Did they get the timeout called in time? That took a long time for that play to develop. Heard a late whistle on that play. You see Skip Holtz on the sideline.
Their third and final timeout. 30-second timeout.
But how much time on the clock?
Go back and take a look at this again and see when you can hear the whistle.
He is down. I saw about 3 seconds left on
3
that
or
clock.
2, exactly. So you got one more chance here for a shot into the end zone if you're Louisiana Tech. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I'll go back to kind of what I said earlier. I mean, you know, obviously, I understand you want to come away with points. You want to make this thing pay off. And that's the decision Skip Holtz is making. I just think down, you know, 24-0 against this team.
Jonathan Barnes again from the left hash.
This doesn't seem to me, Brent, like you're playing to win. You're kicking a field goal here. I know there's a lot of time left.
25-yarder. And slips it through to put Louisiana Tech on the scoreboard. 24-3. Auburn will take a 3-touchdown lead into the locker room here at the intermission. Auburn's defense standing tall. The offense with 249 yards. Let's go to Maria with Coach Malzahn.
Coach, before Marshall's touchdown pass, you guys were 1 of 6 on conversions on third downs.
Yeah.
What would you say caused that number?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about the game. We'd be leading a lot more. Our third downs, we just didn't get it done. We got to get a good plan at halftime to come out here and be more effective on third down.
Well, you said your team was on high alert after eking out that close win against Kansas State. How do you feel they've responded so far in this first
half? We're up 24-3. I mean, the third downs is really the sore spot. But besides that, I thought we did some good things. Our defense is playing outstanding. So we just need to make a couple adjustments, come out and play good football in the second half.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. So Auburn and Gus Malzahn, the defending SEC champions, led by a couple of turnovers that resulted in touchdowns, have a 24-3 lead. Now, let's send you to the studio, and here's Dari Noko. Auburn's defense held Louisiana Tech to 155 total yards, forced 2 turnovers, and as a result, the Tigers lead at 24-3 as we welcome you back. Jesse Bummer, I'm Brent Musburger. But the Auburn running game continues to struggle.
Brent, we talked about how they had to be better running the football. And right now, they've got 151 rushing yards, which sounds like a great number, but I think it's a little bit misleading. The good news for Auburn in that first half, they've got Nick Marshall at quarterback, and he can kind of hide and disguise some of your issues with his speed. A lot of his 94 rushing yards came on this scramble play early, but they dialed up some design running plays for their quarterback to get outside. He was able to show his speed. That's been the good news in the running game. The bad news is they're not having success when they're running the ball conventionally. Their running backs right now are only averaging 3 yards a carry. And this offensive line, as you see on this play, not opening up holes for these running backs to run through. They're forced to go east and west. They haven't had success on first down. That set up third and long. It's been difficult for this Auburn Tigers offense to convert third downs. This number is a very good number. That's the average their quarterback had on the ground. This is a bad number. Only 3 yards rushing on average by these running backs. Are going to have to do a better job. You're looking for more improvement still from this front on the offensive line for Auburn here in the second half.
Maria, you spoke with Louisiana Tech coach Skip Holtz.
Yeah, and Coach Holtz basically saying that they shot themselves in the foot with those 2 turnovers that turned into 14 points for Auburn. He's proud of the way that his defense is playing. But Kenneth Dixon, the running back, he had to get an x-ray on his foot. And so they're waiting to see if he'll be able to return, still evaluating him coming into this second half, guys.
Dixon was held to 15 yards on 11 rushes. He also caught 2 passes for 12 more yards. Regardless of his lack of production, that would be a huge loss. Although we see that the young man has his helmet on now on the sideline. Ball on the tee now for Carlson. So the Bulldogs will handle it first here in the second half. Henderson and Abraham again back deep. The speedster. coming out on the 25-yard line. So these are the two plays that Skip Holtz talked about. Montravius Adams all over. Watch the deflection. The big fella's got it. And he rumbles down close to the 5-yard line, and they punch in a touchdown. Now watch the fumble. Forced by Jones, and again, number 1, Adams. Playing more tackle than end right now in that defensive front, and he was responsible for both turnovers. That second one also led to a touchdown, 24-3.
Good news for Louisiana Tech. Quarterback Cody Sokol kind of started finding his rhythm a little bit in that second quarter. We're going to need him to continue playing well.
Now Dixon is out, so Kraft and Seats and Tevin King carrying the ball for a couple of yards here on first down.
Still have a lot of speed. Tevin King, a guy they like to use in their diamond formation. You see there Kenneth Dixon on the sidelines. We talked about it. He's the best player for Louisiana Tech. So all of a sudden now, some of these other players, guys like Tevin King, number 26, who also plays wide receiver, coming off the field right now, these guys are going to need to make more plays.
Chris Frost out for the game, linebacker for Auburn. Their right tackle, Patrick Miller, out for the game. So they've lost 2 players here for the remainder of this Louisiana Tech game. Second down and 8. And Jared Kraft is alongside the quarterback, getting the carry. And he crosses the 30 to the 31. McKenzie making the stop, and it is third down.
You see, wow, and speaking of injuries, Brent, you just talked about them. Here's a guy, another guy they cannot afford to lose. That's Casanova McKenzie, their middle linebacker. He's also one of their best pass rushers, but they line up in situations on third down on the line of scrimmage. You see Chris Frost, he's the leader of the defense, already sidelined. Brent, you kept talking about the schedule that Auburn has coming up. It's the toughest remaining schedule of anybody in the country, and they can't afford to lose these key guys getting ready to place LSU next week. Take a look at that again, and it looked maybe the right shoulder kind of looked like he made contact. Wow, he is really, really having a hard time getting off the field.
It's a third down and 4 for Louisiana Tech. McKenzie being tended to, and Maria will get us an update a little bit later on that. Kraft, the running back, blocks Sokol, passes for the first down to Sterling Griffin.
I think the best route that Cody Sokol throws are deep curls and these comebacks to the perimeter of the field, outside. He has a very good feel for it. He anticipates those throws well, and he locates those throws well, as you saw right there. That's a big third down conversion early here in the second half.
Moves the ball to the 42-yard line for the Bulldogs. Sokol sets that flanker screen on the outside. Missed tackle, and racing for the end zone, Turner. Finally stopped at the 20 by Jonathan Ford, but number 3, Paul Turner from Monroe, Louisiana, broke a tackle and made it for 36 yards.
And he didn't just break a tackle on anybody, Brent. He broke it on defensive tackle Ben Bradley. Look at big number 50. He's 303 pounds, and somehow Turner able to stay on his feet. That's a great play by the LSU transfer.
Kenneth Dixon back on the field, checks in. This would be something if they could put up 10 unanswered points here. And the whistle on the play. Flag goes against Louisiana Tech just when they had moved down into striking distance. Another big error.
And that's a good thing, believe it or not, for Louisiana Tech, because that play was bad from the beginning. You had 2 players in the backfield run into each other. Sokol's trying to roll out, and the ball slips out of his hand as he's trying to throw it. I mean, that could have been a fumble. I mean, that's actually a better thing for Louisiana Tech. That play ended up never happening. It was a penalty.
So on 1st and 15, dropped at the 25-yard line by Trey Williams. Easiest interception you'll ever see, but there was a penalty flag thrown back toward the line of scrimmage by the umpire. This may be against Louisiana Tech.
Man, oh man.
Illegal chop block against La Tech. 15-yard penalty. Number 62 and number 73 committed the foul.
Could be the center and the right guard is where we're going to be looking on this. And I think they were going up against Montravius Adams, number 1 from Auburn. Take a look at these two guys right here. Pass setting against Adams. Yeah, see, you got him engaged high low. He doesn't need to hit the ground, but it's a good call. It's a dangerous play. And here's the drop. Swain's applying the pressure, and that's right into the hands of the true freshman linebacker. Again, replacing Chris Frost. That's a play Auburn's defense needs to make.
First in a bunch. Sokol drops it in underneath and tripped up to the 40-yard line, and now this will be second and long. Mincy trips up Dixon.
Jonathan Mincy, for his size, plays way bigger than what that would indicate. Only 5'10", 196 pounds. He's the boundary corner. Most boundary corners are bigger, more physical players than he is. But watch him shed the block, get his face in the fan, and trip up Dixon. This is a guy you're going to have to watch. He's going to play a big role in this defense as the season goes on. Look down the road, some of these big-time receivers. Traven Durrell against LSU next week. Amari Cooper at Alabama. He's going to get the matchup in those games.
Slide it outside to Taylor, and Taylor's tied up by Jones and going nowhere.
Good tackling. We keep talking about Jonathan Jones playing hurt, playing with only one hand. See him coming off the field now, and he's holding that hand. It's got to hurt. But he's showed tremendous toughness so far in this football game. Out there on an island by himself. Having to tackle Taylor. Just a good job wrapping up, allowing the support to come and help.
Injury occurred in practice earlier in the week. Third down now, 29. Roll the pocket to the right and fire it out of bounds. Pressure was coming that time from Mitchell.
And it was tremendous coverage on the outside by Trevon Reed at cornerback. You just saw 3 back-to-back plays, 3 excellent plays by Auburn corners. Look at number 25 at the top of the screen. They're trying to run a double move on him. He's able to just stick with it. You see, get away with another call right there. He was holding on to the left hand of Paul Turner, didn't get called. It's a very, very lucky break for Auburn. I was wondering that when I saw that live.
Ray is back. Going to hope this one goes to the end zone, and it's batted back and downed at about the 6-yard line. And that was a fine play that time by Abraham, Bryson Abraham. Good play, young man. Tough way to go coming up for the Auburn Tigers. Heroes welcome, and it's not Cam Newton. Look who's coming off that airplane. The new basketball coach, Bruce Pearl, introduced here to the fans. Great support. Bruce, of course, had a remarkable run at Tennessee. Spent some time with us, mainly in the studio and doing games. There's Jay Jacobs, the athletic director, who vetted him out. You're under the gun, my friend. You got to turn this program around.
I tell you what, John Wildhack at ESPN said, listen, I paid a lot of money for that SEC package. Now go make my investment worth something. Give me a little return. So we're going to try to get this program where it belongs.
You're technically still working then.
I am technically still on the payroll for ESPN.
Bruce, stick around with us here. We're going to take a little look at the Auburn offense. And I'm going to ask you about getting close to the football team, because I always think that's important for the basketball coach to do that. We see Jesse Marshall flips it out to the outside to Ricardo Lewis on that first down. But you know, some coaches stay away, but that's not how you operate.
No, Brent. I mean, look, Auburn is smoking hot right now. You know, you turn on the ESPYs and every play is Auburn or Alabama in the SEC right now. And, you know, Gus has just embraced me and my coaching staff. He was new last year, so he knows exactly what we're going through. He's really helped us with this transition. We're selling Auburn family and Auburn football.
Yeah, and exactly when you try to recruit, they love coming up here and watching the football games. Going to ask you about recruiting as they try to bring Grant to the outside on this play, and he'll step out of bounds about the 12. Recruiting has gone well, I see, Mr. Pearl. Not surprised.
No, listen, you can't make chicken salad out of you-know-what.
Yes, yeah.
Hey, you know, the bottom line is we got two great programs in the SEC in Florida and Kentucky. And the way I've got to recruit, I got to go in there and go, can these guys help me beat those guys? And if they can't, I got to move on to the next guy. And that's, you know, what we've been able to do so far.
All right, now here we've got a third down coming up. Marshall looking downfield. This will be incomplete, and this will bring up a fourth down. Jesse?
Well, and I think Auburn was anticipating there being an offsides penalty. You saw in that play, the entire offensive line was frozen. It's like the Rick Trickett thing they do down at Florida State when they think they have a free play. And I think Nick Marshall thought that too. Take a look at this again. Hard count by Nick Marshall. There's a little flinch there on the outside by number 9, Vernon Butler. The entire line's frozen, and he just throws it up to Sammy Coates, expecting to get another play. Gus Malzahn's confused. Now Auburn has to punt.
He's not confused. He's angry.
Because you basketball coaches are never animated on the sidelines.
Gus Malzahn is a basketball coach. Did you guys know that? He was a high school basketball coach for a while back at Shiloh.
Well, he was also doing the football, Bruce.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He may be up as an analyst for me here.
Well, you know the other thing, too. Jimmy Dykes hired him. ESPN's Jimmy Dykes, the women's basketball coach at Arkansas, hired Gus Malzahn when Jimmy Dykes was the AD at Shiloh. That was a pretty good hire.
Pretty good hire,
yeah.
I would say.
You've got a reputation that precedes you. I want to ask you this. I know when you were at Tennessee, at a football game, you painted yourself orange. So when are we going to see you bring out the blue paint?
You know,
here
Jesse,
at Auburn.
This is the incredible bulk, okay? This is not getting painted.
People don't want to see that.
No.
All right, let's take a look here at Louisiana Tech. Running with a bit of a full house look and breaking free on that first carry. And that was Kraft, number 22. So Kraft, who came off the bench with Dixon a little bit shaken up. And guys, this gives Louisiana Tech a chance to strike here.
He's only a true freshman, guys. We talked about Kenneth Dixon, their best player, out right now. He's not playing a lot of snaps for this Louisiana Tech offense, so guys need to step up. They get into the diamond formation, 3 running backs, including the 215-pound true freshman, able to find a crease. And now Louisiana Tech knocking on the door again. And
then Jesse Maria has just told us that McKenzie is out for the game. So the injury loss is mounting here for the Tigers. And first down for Sokol, and there was a whistle and a flag on this play. They will straighten out. So that was a 36-yard run by the young man on that play. And, you know, Bruce, I guess the question that comes to mind, you mentioned 2 great teams in the SEC. What has happened to the conference? Back in the 80s, you know, when I was around the tournament a lot, you know, we had Auburn was in the tournament a lot, and Alabama was playing well with Wimp Sanderson. What happened down here?
You hit it, Wimp Sanderson. You know, Sonny Smith, Dale Brown. You had Kentucky. You had personalities, I think, in the coaching staff. And I think right now we're poised for resurgence, I think, in SEC basketball. You know, Kentucky and Florida, 2 of the top, 10 programs, 5 programs? Absolutely. And I think we've got about 5 or 6 other programs that are absolutely poised to make a run.
Well, Jesse, now it is 1st and 5, so we will take a look here at Sokol and the Bulldogs. And nothing much doing.
There's got to be payoff right now if you're Louisiana Tech. How many times have we seen them down in Auburn territory? They haven't come away with anything. They missed a field goal earlier. We've seen some turnovers. At this point, you ask why Skip Holtz kicks a field goal at the end of the half to keep it a 3-possession game, trusting in his offense and trusting in his quarterback, and they've responded. But when they get down to this area of the field now, there's got to be payoff. You need 7s on the board to beat Auburn on the road.
Let's see what Sokol can come up with here on 2nd down. 4 wide receivers. They'll run that toss play. Nothing doing. This will be 3rd down and short.
And this is an area that over the last 2 years, Auburn has always excelled on defense. We talked about how good they've been on 3rd down in the red zone with their backs to the wall. Last year, they were a bend-don't-break defense. This year, they've been better at base defense, but right now is a big down for them. 3rd and short, you're going to get man coverage across the board. There's a mass substitution coming in the game right now for Auburn. Montravius Adams, who was a key factor in the 2 turnovers in this game, back on the field for Auburn. Beef up front on that line in case they run it, and they've got their best cover guys in case they want to throw it.
Dixon, too, is checked back in. Runs for it, and they got the 1st down with their ace.
We talk about the power running. Again, not the biggest running back in the country, 5'10", 214, but can push a pile. So competitive. Not playing 100% healthy right now. Understanding his team needs him at a crucial time of the game.
Over the top. Touchdown.
Take a look at this again. He goes up top. Middle linebacker Anthony Swain replacing Casanova McKenzie. Number 43 is going to meet him right near the goal line. Where's the football?
Close.
Does even a piece of the football break that plane? I think it did. That is very, very close, though. Take a look at this again. Up and over. He gets met by Swain. The referees are going to be looking at if that ball even broke the plane. It just has to touch the white line.
Call on the field is a touchdown. Replay hasn't stopped it. There's the extra point. So it is now 24-10, and Bruce, we want to wish you nothing but the best. I want to tell you, it is great having you back.
It's good to be back. But now, are we going to see you doing basketball this year?
I'm coming to see you in particular.
That's fantastic. You must be excited
Tennessee
about
shirts
that.
you gave me are worn out. I need some. I need some new gear.
I always took care of my guys when they came to town with some gear, and it's great. The SEC Network is doing something very, very special for our conference. I think the entire country and all the SEC fans are really excited about it, and it's great to have you two guys, standing up for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Good luck.
I'm just riding his coattails everywhere we go, so this is easy for me.
Bruce Pearl, everybody, as Louisiana Tech made a little bit of a statement here with that touchdown, and we've got a lot of game to go.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
We make the turn to October, and Auburn having a little difficulty putting Louisiana Tech away. It is 24-10 with almost 7 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter here on the SEC Network. So perhaps a little bit more than the Tigers bargained for. They will send Rock Thomas back in deep with Corey Grant to return this kickoff. As Jesse told you earlier, Grant may be the fastest of the Tigers, and they want his speed. Gus Malzahn probably uneasy down there. He wants to quickly put up another touchdown.
Yeah. Well, Corey Grant hasn't had a lot of chances, especially in the return game. Only had 1 return heading into this game. Kickers are very aware of that speed you talk about, Brent. Looking around, what? We're stopping?
Clock problem, probably. The man on the field, eh? Referee will hustle on back behind the return man where he stands during a kickoff. Let's play. From the goal line is Grant. Cuts to the left, looking for one block. Explodes through and is tripped up and down at the 31-yard line. Had a whiff. Let's go to the studio in Darinoka.
Brent, Jesse, just a reminder, coming up over on ESPN, top of the hour, 7 Eastern, Matty Mock in Missouri taking on South Carolina. What a game it was last year. How about Arkansas? Right now, up by a touchdown, Brandon Allen to A.J. Derby, 44 yards, Hogs up 14, late 3rd. Guys, they have 20 fewer pass yards than A&M. How about that?
Indeed. How about that? Allen playing a great game for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, we said that. He was way more impressive. He's come a long way this year versus what he was a year ago.
I'm going to go with Grant as the running back. And the Bulldogs, they're all fired up.
Yeah, they are. Brent, this is a big game with potential big-time playoff implications if you're Auburn. I know people at home are saying, well, it's Louisiana Tech. They're not a Power 5 program. But one of the big criteria for the selection committee at the end of the year is common opponents. This game serves as a measuring stick when you compare Auburn versus Oklahoma this year.
Fake the end around. Marshall on the move. Incomplete. Williams the target. It was underthrown a little bit. And the defensive back, Bryce, came up on it.
Oklahoma already played Louisiana Tech week 1 at home. Beat them very convincingly, 48-16. And at the end of the year, if Auburn were to slip up, maybe not make it to Atlanta and play in the SEC championship game, they could use this game as a barometer versus a team like Oklahoma when it comes to considering who makes the Final Four. So it's important, not just Auburn win this game, but they've got to win it convincingly.
3rd and 13. Marshall looking to go long down that far side, and that is incomplete, Coach. Woods is there, and Liggins. Woods and Liggins with good coverage. There was no separation. There's Diaz going down the sideline to congratulate his young men on that coverage on that. Folks, this is 4th and 13 again.
It's the same story, Brent. Not running the ball, having success on first down, setting up 2nd and 3rd and longs. When they have those opportunities, that's just tremendous coverage by Louisiana Tech and a great job by Xavier Woods getting over, breaking that pass up, now giving the football back to an offense that's building confidence based on the way they've moved the ball here in the second half.
Carlson. Fair catch by Taylor at the 24-yard line. Folks, come on back. Maybe the most important drive of the day for Louisiana Tech is coming up next. Little small reasons why Auburn, Alabama is the greatest rivalry in college football today. Those great oak trees poisoned here at Toomer's Corner, poisoned by an Alabama fan. They're going to be replaced. And the celebrations will continue down there at that intersection. That's one of the great stopping points for any college football fan. You're going to want to get a picture taken down there. Those trees will be back starting next year. They're going to replant them. They cleanse the soil. And here is Kraft. Got about a yard. Remember, he made that big run, set up the last touchdown.
Yeah, he sure did. But right now, Auburn playing with 2 backups in the middle of their defense. 2 middle linebackers that haven't seen a lot of snaps. You saw a big-time play there by Anthony Swain, a young junior. These guys are going to have to step up and make more plays now. Trey Williams is out there, too, true freshman. They're going to get stressed. It's a 2-possession game.
Sokol. Far side, knocked down beautifully by Mincy, the boundary corner, and a penalty flag. Maybe it was too good a coverage, huh?
There's a lot of hand checking out there. We've seen Auburn in this game has gotten away with some potential defensive holding and pass interference plays. Jonathan Mincy not going to get away here.
Pass interference. Defense, number 6. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
So he's working against Sterling Griffin, a USF transfer in his 6th year. You're going to see Mincy kind of grab on him with that right hand right there, and that's a pretty easy call. He wants to be physical. You kind of need to be. You're always going to face the other team's best wide receiver by yourself on an island. Mincy gets called there.
You know, there is a big difference between cornerback play in college and the NFL.
Yeah.
You actually are more aggressive, and you really do make contact because the penalty is not that penal. So here we go. Fumble the snap, and the quarterback gets on it, I believe. Sokol and Kraft mishandled the mesh point.
And guess who? Montravius Adams, number 1, disruptive again. He's the most explosive defensive lineman. I think he's the most talented defensive lineman up front for Auburn. You're going to see him flash right here, number 1. There's a mess up on the exchange. That's a true freshman running back, remember, that probably doesn't get a lot of reps with Cody Sokol in practice. Big number 1, Adams, almost made them pay.
Dixon checks back in. 4 receivers out. Sokol wants the screen pass, gets it into Dixon's hands. Tough run to the 36-yard line by that young man who's been bottled up from scrimmage, having a hard go of it as that defensive front of Ellis Johnson has targeted. But he's also got good hands.
Yeah, Brent, he's one of the most competitive guys I think I've ever seen on film. I mean that. If you watch the effort he gives, not just when he has the ball, but when he's running routes, you see he's hurt right now. You see him in pass protection. Gives everything he's got through the whistle for 60 minutes. Really takes pride in his craft.
Big third down here for the Auburn defense. Four receivers. And it comes to a 4th down and a punting situation late in the 3rd quarter for the Bulldogs.
Ellis Johnson, defensive coordinator of Auburn, normally likes to bring pressure on 3rd down. That time he dropped 8 into coverage, trying to give Cody Sokol a different look, mixing it up defensively. Sokol high on the throw. That was a big get back for Auburn now, getting the ball back into Nick Marshall's hands. They need to score. Marcus Davis again goes back in case the punt is short. Bray will be the deep man. Remember, Marcus has already fielded one today. He's in front of him. So Davis will now go over toward that left hash. Booming punt. Will this one go in? No. Outstanding punter for Louisiana Tech. And now Auburn will have to start from inside their own 10-yard line. Jesse, that punter has backed him up a couple of times. He sure has. And you know what? Making Nick Marshall in this offense and this offensive line that hasn't been overly dominant at the point of attack go the field and drive the field. You absolutely need to do that when you face off against the speed and the playmaking ability that Auburn has.
That was a 55-yard punt. And Auburn will start from their own 8-yard line here. Marshall's alone in the backfield. So they motion somebody over next to him, and they do just that. Cameron Artis Payne. Artis Payne, hole up the middle, 20, spins, and he's down at the 25. 17-yard gain on 1st down. Bryce with the stop.
And here's an example of Auburn. They got into the 2nd level of that defense, got hats on linebackers. That's one thing they haven't been doing.
Marshall keeps it. Stopped for a short gain on 1st down. You know, I have to say that the defenders on the edge for the Bulldogs a couple of times have really kept their position off the fake, and they've not given Marshall that room.
You know, it's key, Brent, when you talk about good run defense. It's not just guys up front in the D-line. You've got to have DBs that are willing to tackle. It's totally overlooked. It's underrated. Because those are the guys on the back end of your team. They miss a tackle, it could be a home run call, and you're right. This secondary for Louisiana Tech, they like to tackle. They like being physical.
Williams, their leading receiver, is lined up on the right side, a slot. He tightens up on this. They run in that direction with Artis Payne, and he goes nowhere, and now it's 3rd and long.
There's a backup linebacker, Nick Thompson, in the middle of the field that attacks this, plays downhill. You see Lyman not able to get up into the 2nd level and get hats on him. Watch number 24 right here in the middle. Nobody's able to come in and seal him from that side of the play. Auburn's going to pull linemen, can't make it to him.
Remember, Coach talked about 3rd down with Maria Taylor at the intermission. They're only 2 of 9. This is their 10th 3rd down of this game. And Fultz checks over with the sideline. He's the H-back, big number 11. Now he comes outside as a receiver. Complete. 1st down. So they convert on an important 3rd down. Sammy Coates works the middle of the field. When he gets completely healthy, that will be it. Williams will roll long, and Coates can control the middle of the field.
They can both do the middle of the field and go long, too. They both have the same skill sets. But Coates at 6'2" gives that nice target for Nick Marshall.
Quick flip to the outside, and that is Bray again. Quan Bray breaks across, and there's a penalty flag coming down. Was there a face mask or something at the end of that? Bray was the receiver on the play.
And I think they might call Duke Williams for holding on this play.
Downfield.
Yeah, outside. He's had some problems with that early this year blocking.
Holding.
Yeah.
Number 1, offense.
That's the second time today, isn't it?
Remain first down.
He's a big physical guy at 6'2", 215 pounds. He's a little bit raw with respect to route running and blocking. Just look up top here. He's working against Liggins. He's got 2 hands on the jersey. He never lets go.
He gets the hands outside those pads like he's bear hugging him.
You're right. Yeah. Just, you know, it's a costly penalty. It's one Auburn just can't afford to have right now.
It brings it back to their own 40-yard line after that gain. First down. Marshall checking the sideline for the signal. The signs come up on the sideline now. Malzahn set the play from behind the offense. Nothing doing. This is second down and a bunch. That was Bates with the stop for the Bulldogs. Big number 94.
Yeah, he's a transfer from Illinois. Just showed up on campus. They voted him a captain right away. That's how much they thought about him. Making plays. You got to give credit to this Louisiana Tech front as they get another substitution. Their best D lineman, Vernon Butler, a defensive tackle, number 9, back in the game now.
Williams is slotted off to the left. Marshall keeps it. That play has been one of the most effective plays of the day for the Auburn offense, and short of midfield now, and this will bring up third down, but manageable.
Yeah, I mean, the good news with that, you see there's a Louisiana Tech player on the ground. That's linebacker Terrell Pinson, who's made some big plays tonight for Louisiana Tech. I was going to say, at least the advantage of that last play you see from Auburn, you know, success running it, at least on first and second down, setting up third and short. That's something we haven't seen very much, Brent.
Jesse, let's go to Dari and find out if the Seminoles have come all the way back. Dari?
Yeah, Brent, we're going to show you that in just a moment. Quick reminder, coming up at 7 Eastern time in Columbia, South Carolina, you will get the Gamecocks and the Missouri Tigers. Marcus Golden in uniform. The defensive end looks like he will play for Mizzou. And to answer your question, yes, indeed, Florida State has come all the way back. A 4th Jameis Winston touchdown pass moments ago. They lead 42-38. The 38, by the way, the most points a number 1 team has allowed to an unranked team in a game since 1985. Les Miles getting off the bus in Baton Rouge. LSU, New Mexico State, the finale of the triple header on SEC Network. Guys?
Dari, write it down. We'll have a new number 1 next week. Alabama or Oregon or Oklahoma. One of those 3 will be number 1. Even if the Seminoles hang on here and win. They had to go to overtime against Clemson with Winston not playing. Now with Winston on the field, they've struggled again. Of course, North Carolina State through the years has been a big bugaboo for the Noles. And here we go. Marshall hands off. Artis Payne bangs ahead now and picks up that first down.
Interesting thing, the point you make, when you look at the teams in the top 4, still a lot of big question marks with a lot of those teams. And Florida State, not running the ball the way you'd expected them to up front on the offensive line. Their defense has given up big plays. Oregon's had issues with their offensive line and protecting Marcus Mariota. A lot of question marks still to be resolved and answered here early this season. Auburn's got their own issues, don't they?
They do.
Got some question marks they've got to answer as well. And surprisingly, it's on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, you know that old line? It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmy and Joes. And Auburn missing some real big Jimmy and Joes this season. Timeout, 24-10.
A journey to the next great championship in sports. ESPN, home of the new college football playoff. New Year's will never be the same.
You know, Jesse, it's still a whole lot of time to be played before we get to the Final Four, but mark this down. I think Oregon and Oklahoma have the easiest road into that college football playoff.
Because they're not in the SEC West. I mean, that's the truth.
It is the truth.
We showed the graphic, you know, earlier. I mean, this conference is loaded, especially in this division. You know, you talk about 6 teams being ranked right now, and you're right. There's a lot of football left, and, you know, you're watching Auburn right now, and I think it's a mixed bag right now. Defense looks very very, very good. Offense continuing to struggled last week against Kansas State. They were fortunate to win that game. They're not as dominant as you thought they'd be here today. And we've seen some injuries on defense. You kind of look ahead to the schedule and murderer's row they've got coming up.
Arkansas leading Texas A&M 28-21 there. Here it's 24-10. Auburn with the football, and that's Artis Payne with first down. And of course, just a reminder to follow up on the games that Auburn has left. That is the murderer's row. They do have before the Alabama, they will play Samford, but you just take a look at that schedule. Nothing easy, and they flip it. They got dropped by Ricardo Lewis. Ricardo Lewis couldn't hang on. I want to go back to what I said about Oregon and Oklahoma, and I'm not putting the teams down. Oregon does not play USC, I believe, in the regular season. Advantage Oregon. Texas is way down this year. Advantage Oklahoma. That gives them a chance to keep winning in those two conferences. Over here, it's going to be a dogfight. The Big Ten, good luck on that. Third down and 6.
Duke Williams. Haven't called his name a lot so far in this game. Only one catch lined up right here. They like to work him over the middle of the field in the slot.
Yeah, he moved a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, just as you say that, Jesse, trying to get himself off that bump and run. And Marshall waiting, and nothing developed. Now he's in trouble. Dances back, looking downfield, firing end zone. Quan Bray, touchdown, Auburn! Holy Toledo! Jesse, quarterbacks today have to be able to throw on the move.
No doubt. He's the big reason why. A lot of people thought he was a preseason #1 first team All-SEC quarterback, avoiding the disaster play and turning it into a positive. Wow.
31-10. Here's the stat of the day. Quan Bray targeted 4 times. 2 of them Auburn touchdowns.
Houston Bates and Tony Johnson have a chance to bring him down. His other receivers weren't doing a very good job on scramble mechanics getting open. Shows off the arm strength on the run. And how about Quan Bray climbing the ladder over Xavier Woods?
92-yard drive. That's the best of the day. Under the gun. Auburn score. Whatever ails the Auburn offense, it is not number 14. Watch his head as he moves around. Daylight. Now look at him check downfield. Fired. That's a former defensive back at Georgia. His 3rd touchdown pass of the day. This man is simply money. That should be his nickname. 4th quarter Nick Marshall or money. That's how good he is. Everybody makes a big deal about the kick 6. Obviously, it was the game winner. But let's not forget the drive that tied the score against Alabama last year. How he improvised coming down the field and burned Bama on that drive. Ice water in a man's veins. 31-10. Out of the end zone, out on the 25. Tonight, SEC Network's full day of gridiron action concludes 7:30. Les Miles, LSU, hosts Doug Martin at New Mexico State. Jesse, good luck, New Mexico State.
Well, you got an LSU team that's very angry after that loss last week at home against Mississippi State. And again, we talk about all the talent they have on offense, those young guys that we had a chance to see a few weeks back. They're going to look to take a step forward and grow up. They're going to want to make an example out of somebody. And unfortunately, for New Mexico State fans, it just might be them.
Sigh of relief on that sideline. 31-10 now. 14 minutes to go. So Rodney Garner's defensive line gets ready. Ellis Johnson whistling up the plays up above. They bring Henderson trying to get that edge. And he's thrown back by Holsey. You like Holsey, don't you?
Yeah, I sure do. And here's a guy that had to step in for Jermaine Whitehead last week as a safety when Whitehead was suspended. And Holsey's a cornerback. But again, we talked about this secondary and how they like to tackle. Steps into the game, leads the team with 11 tackles. Was named SEC Player of the Week on defense for it. You got a lot of different moving pieces on this defense right now. There's some injuries at some key spots, and then there's a bit of a ragtag group in the back end. They're going to have to keep sticking together.
Got an open man knocked away beautifully by Holsey. On cue, Jesse, your man.
Yeah, just makes plays. And probably the most impressive thing, when you move him to safety from corner, you worry about alignment and if he's going to know where to be. Just the perfect shade. He's got his eyes in the right place, able to make a break on the ball. And Trevon Reed almost comes up with that interception. You can't say enough about how well Holsey has played these last 2 weeks and what he's meant to this Auburn defense.
Third and 7. Incomplete. Mincy on the boundary.
Physical, playing against a bigger wide receiver in Sterling Griffin. Jonathan Mincy's played well this year as well in the secondary. And that's a good answer. You can't say enough about this Auburn defense, how much improved they are from a season ago.
Quan Bray, who just got a touchdown pass, again back deep. Makes the catch at the 24-yard line. Cuts over to the right, and here he goes. Touchdown, Quan Bray. What an afternoon. Magnificent. He did not raise his hands to catch that ball. He lulled a couple of the punt team into thinking he wasn't going to reach for it. Comes and grabs it. Gets great blocking and explodes 76 yards.
Coaches are going to start figuring out they don't want to punt to Quan Bray. He had a 55-yard return for a touchdown against San Jose State in week 2. And now this one right here. We've seen him jump over defenders and make long catches for touchdowns. He's showing you all the versatility. And we talk about Nick Marshall and Cameron Artis-Payne and Duke Williams and Corey Grant. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And add Quan Bray to that list of playmakers for the Auburn Tigers.
Here's a memo to Oklahoma. Score looking a little bit better against Louisiana Tech right now. Auburn's putting the hammer down. 13:21 to go. Tigers are in control on homecoming weekend.
Bang, 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 bang. I love the way you walk.
We're going to switch things up a little bit here, Brent. I get to ask the Aflac trivia question finally. I'm going to find out that it's better to be the one asking the questions. So here we go. How many SEC teams have finished the season leading the nation in rushing? It's a lot of years to think about. I'll throw that at you.
I'm going to talk to the producer about this. This was not in the preseason. This was not in my contract.
All of the pressure is off. I mean, I've been sitting here sweating for the last 5 weeks.
There's only one reason why you would ask that. It's a ridiculous answer, okay? So let me think about that for a minute, okay?
All right.
Otherwise, it's who cares if it's 32 or 41 or 50. You know what I'm saying? Here we go now.
I can't believe how comfortable I feel.
Jesse,
right
I thought you were my buddy.
Hey, I am. Believe me.
You got it.
I know. Now I know next week you're going to come back hard at me.
Yeah, but you've been so good. It's been tough.
I've been studying, though. You make me work for it.
We'll be in Tennessee for that Florida-Tennessee game.
I'll start the homework this week.
Yeah, indeed. Fielded back on the one. This is Hunter Lee. Hunter Lee cuts out to the right. And a nice return out to the 39-yard line. And let's check in with Dari. Dari?
All right, Brent, thank you much. Don't forget, coming up here, top of the hour, ESPN Missouri and South Carolina. Can Missouri and Matty Mock, Gary Pinkel's team, do some damage to that struggling South Carolina defense. And then the next game on SEC Network, Anthony Jennings getting the start for LSU in purple at home against New Mexico State. Guys.
All right, Dart, thank you very much. We've talked about Rodney Garner, his defensive line out there. He's a legend in the SEC, coached at Georgia for 15 years, was an outstanding player here at Auburn. He's got his front ready to go now. Swing wide with the running play. Tevin King.
Brent, a moment ago I was watching Jonathan Mincy, the boundary corner, number 6 for Auburn. He was grabbing his left shoulder. This was the tackle on the kick return. He kind of got up a little bit gingerly and kind of started grabbing that shoulder. He was looking over at the sidelines. We talked about how this defense has kind of been beaten up a little bit now. Now he's coming off the field. They've already lost McKenzie and Frost at linebacker.
This could be a very painful day as Louisiana Tech comes back with the running back Kraft.
Brent, again, you keep talking about the schedule and what lies ahead for Auburn. They need to be fully loaded on defense to survive this gauntlet that is their remainder of the schedule in the SEC West. They cannot afford to have these injuries because they're not just a backup. They're the key starters. You're talking about Chris Frost, Casanova McKenzie, and your boundary corner.
Davis replaces Mincy. They show bump and run on that boundary with him. And again, Kraft, a little bit short, I believe, of that first down.
It's a lot of young bodies on the field right now. Again, Trey Williams inside linebacker. You've got Javier Mitchell, third string weak side linebacker on the field. They're trying to keep this thing together, and I think Auburn now has started to sub a lot more. They're playing a lot of backups right now because I think this injury toll is starting to scare them a little bit. They want to come through this thing unscathed, up 28 points. See Mincy back out there right now, number 6 at the top of the screen. That's good news.
So, you know, we talked about Rodney. He also is the father of 6 children. Rodney Garner, associate head coach and the defensive line coach down here. And his daughter Brielle, one of the 6 daughters, was going to her prom, and he sent over 2 of his defensive linemen to check out the date. Hey, Maria, who are these big fellas? That poor guy, I feel sorry for.
Bodyguards. I mean, do they actually go to the prom also? Do they drive them, or do they escort? Like, what happened?
Yeah, we got to get the details from Maria.
Oh man, you got to be. Yeah, you don't want to be dating the D-lines coach's daughter.
She was none too happy with Pops. Pops told me the play action, throw down, field goal, man, wide open. Fumble! Out of bounds, Louisiana Tech football. Gaston broke free. That was a 4th and 1. But then what a play here by Auburn. Only the ball went out of bounds.
I love the play call by offensive coordinator Tony Peterson. Auburn expecting run. There's that diamond formation with 3 running backs, play action. And the tight end Gaston wide open now. Look at the hustle from the true freshman Stephen Roberts. Safety, popping that football loose.
Watch this ball bounce.
Lucky it got out of bounds.
Roberts knocks it out, and so it's Louisiana Tech football. Got a chance here. Sokol fires and complete for 9 or 10 yards to Hunter Lee, and they're stalking another score.
These are small windows that Cody Sokol's throwing into. You see another Auburn Tiger defender getting up gingerly. This has been a physical game. Louisiana Tech and their receiver Hunter Lee going over the middle, knowing he's going to get popped. Takes a big time shot, a little friendly fire there maybe for that injured Auburn Tiger.
2nd down and 2. Now this is a big couple of plays here for that defensive front that we talked about. Nellis upstairs, Garner on the sideline, hoping that these rascals can hold the front. Dixon tries to swing, got the edge. First down, touchdown, Louisiana Tech. Well blocked that time.
Yeah, no doubt. Really good job blocking, and it came out of the backfield. I think it was Marlon Seats, big 230-pound tailback that got a lead block on Trevon Reed at cornerback. That sealed the edge. And how about this guy? How about the warrior he's been? He's not playing 100% either. We talked about him and what he means to this football team. He's showing a lot. Still out there, still fighting, still playing at a high level.
And it's 38-17. Now watch Dixon now as he gets the edge. Just a terrific lead block on that play, and he virtually walks into the end zone.
All right, Brent, time's up, brother. Aflac trivia question. How many SEC teams have finished the season leading the nation in rushing? So what do you got to say?
How many SEC teams? A dozen?
Dozen? Okay. We can check out. I got to connect here at Auburn. I think it can help us out.
What are you talking
big
about?
time at the full information desk. You'll love this.
Is this how you begin the answers?
Big time. Maybe. Just check it out.
For information desk, how can I help you?
How many SEC teams in the history of college football have led the nation in rushing at the end of the year?
I do know the answer to that. Only one SEC team has led the nation in rushing at the end of the season. It was last year's Auburn Tigers.
Is that not amazing?
I knew it had to be a ridiculous answer.
Well, when you said that, I thought you got it.
Well, I didn't want to guess 0, but that would have been.
That's
so
right.
let me just throw a dozen out and be wrong.
Yeah, no, it was a veteran guess.
Auburn was the only team I could think of.
Think about that, though. Think of all the great Heisman Trophy running backs and Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson and all the different guys that have come out of the SEC, yet only one team has ever led them in leading in rushing.
That's because there's so many good defensive linemen in this league.
That's a good point. Very good point. All right, I'm in trouble next week. Better run now.
Fielded and dropped. This will come out on the 25-yard line. Rock Thomas. And let's see here, Jess. Monday, of course, at 7 p.m. on the SEC Network. Dari Noka. Maria Taylor. We got to get back to Maria here. And Matt Stinchcomb. They discuss all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. They'll recap the week. And then Mississippi braces for Alabama. And Mississippi State will host Texas A&M. The Aggies still trail Arkansas by a 7. Only 4 minutes left in that game. Remember now, Brett Bielema has never won an SEC conference game. He's 4 minutes away, folks, in that one. And Jeremy Johnson is going to try to finish this one up. Corey Grant will be his running back. Grant. Well, Jeremy certainly has earned some playing time here.
Brent, I think he's the best backup quarterback in the country. We got to see him in the first half against Arkansas week 1 here, but he would start for 12 other SEC teams. I think only Mississippi State and Texas A&M have a better situation right now with their starter. You look at a guy that's 6'5", 230 pounds, throws the ball the way he does. He's an unbelievable talent.
Second down and 8. Play action. And there it is, Williams on target. You wondered where he was. He just needed someone who could rifle the ball to him. And now he gets up slowly, and he taps his helmet. I got to get out.
Yeah, you see Gus Malzahn's look there in the background. A little bit of concern. This has been a physical game. You see the arm talent again by Johnson on this throw. Puts it right on the 1. Turns up, and there's Xavier Dixon. Kind of gets him on the inside of that left leg. And Duke Williams, again, these aren't just role players, guys. These are their best players that are going down in this game.
Woods made the stop there, Jesse, and yeah, with LSU coming in here, there's got to be a lot of concern. Artis Payne comes back in now, and he dances to the right, and he's in a foot race for the end zone. Defenders have got the angle, though, and he'll be out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. Feet, both feet, and he showed good feet.
It's the new and improved Cameron Artis Payne. Big question at the start of the year. Who could replace Trey Mason, Heisman Trophy finalist? Well, Cameron Artis Payne lost 8 to 12 pounds this past offseason. He's a lot quicker and shiftier, lateral quickness and moves. He didn't have that a year ago.
From the 21, Artis Payne kind of steps his way, didn't he, to the 16-yard line. Henson making the stop for the Bulldogs. I think Jeremy Johnson would like to tack a touchdown up here. Get into the 40s inside of 9 minutes.
There's not a lot of drop-off in the production of the offense when Jeremy Johnson's in. Now, traditionally, it looks a little bit different. He's not the outside runner Nick Marshall is, but he also can run between the tackles, and obviously they're way more dangerous throwing it with him in the game.
Payne for about a yard. Johnson with the stop.
And Brent, you see on that last run, you see how Cameron Artis-Payne has to start hopping left and right in the backfield. That just tells you there's too much penetration up front by this offensive line. You see Nick Marshall and Duke Williams on the sidelines talking about it. No matter who the quarterback is, these guys in these blue jerseys, they got to fire off up front.
Johnson checks back over to the sideline now. Move the pocket to the left. Johnson looks back to the end zone. Receiver covered. Now he tosses end zone. Dangerous. Caught. Touchdown, Uzomah. C.J. Uzomah. This was very close to the sideline. I waited for the signal on this. So let's check this replay.
He does his best Nick Marshall impersonation, best Houdini. We saw Nick Marshall with a great touchdown pass earlier. I don't know how Johnson got out of that, and that looks to me like it's a touchdown, Brent.
Right foot's down.
Yeah.
They have control of the ball all the way.
Take another look. Right foot, yeah, right foot's all the way in. It's not touching that white line.
Yeah, confirmed. The extra point is tacked in at 45-17. Inside 8 minutes.
You've got a good quarterback situation. Next year when Nick Marshall's gone, with the young receivers they've got, the young running backs they've got, Auburn is going to be just fine on offense with Jeremy Johnson.
Another quarterback who can throw on the move.
Here comes the
45-17. Happy homecoming.
Here comes the ready or not.
Well, tonight, SEC Network's full day of gridiron action concludes 7:30. Les Miles and LSU coming off that loss. Host Doug Martin and New Mexico State. Game also available live on Watch ESPN. Carlson to kick it off for the Tigers, who will remain undefeated following this game. And for total yardage, 430 yards for Auburn today. 234 rushing. On third downs, 6 of 13. That's fielded at the 2 by Henderson. Coming up the left side. Forced back, gives up ground, and he'll be short of the 20-yard line. Well, Maria, we talked about Rodney Garner sending his defensive lineman over to check out the boyfriend. You were once a babysitter for some of those girls. Tell us about the Garner family.
Yeah, those are my girls. There's 6 of them. You know, Coach G really wanted to have a son. He tried one more time. He got a set of twin girls, identical girls, but they all play sports. And he ended up bringing in Angelo Blackson, and that was Jeffrey Whitaker that you saw at prom. He also drove her to the homecoming, so that's kind of what it's like growing up with the coach that is the D-line coach at Auburn. It's a little tough time. I mean, you got a lot of guys looking out for you.
I mean, the date, look at the look on his face, Jesse.
Man, oh man.
Where did these guys come from? Fire to the inside to the screen. Hunter Lee. He's got a first down out of the 34-yard line.
You know, I was going to say, Brent, speaking of girls whose dad you got to be careful of, Maria Taylor.
Yes?
His dad's an FBI agent.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I think he's like 6'6" or 6'7".
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jesse, definitely 6'7". And he's always packing. So I'm just saying. So he has the right to because he's an agent.
So, I mean, you don't, if the guys out there might not want to meet him. I don't want to meet him.
Don't ever say anything bad about me.
Because he knows where to find
that
you.
right.
Hey, now. Safe up here in this booth. Last time I ever drove in a car with Maria again.
That's great. That's great. And there's Rodney Garner. Love him. Great recruiter. He also went out recruiting after Thursday night's practice over to Georgia, very fertile recruiting ground, along with Florida here in the SEC, Mississippi, Louisiana. Now, of course, with Texas in play because of Texas A&M. So the reason why this conference is so good, they recruit well. Firing to the original line of scrimmage, Taylor and T.J. Davis. Remember, he checked in when Mincy was injured. And,
A lot of good recruiters on this staff, Brent. When you talk about Garner on the D-line, Damian Craig, their wide receiver coach, phenomenal recruiter, learned under Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban. Different stops. Rhett Lashley is their coordinator, of course, Gus Malzahn. Team effort.
2nd and 8. The Aggies have just tied Arkansas at 28, and guess who's down on their sideline? Johnny Football with a week off. Watching the game. Nothing doing for Kraft. Garner's defensive line all over him, along with Anthony Swain, the linebacker.
It's really good that these backup players for Auburn on defense are having success. They're going to need all the confidence behind them if they have to take the field next week against LSU and start in those games. We talked about the injuries, but right now these young players, you've talked about the recruiting. They may be inexperienced, but boy, oh boy, are they talented.
Third and 14. Auburn leading Louisiana Tech 45-17. There have been some key injuries here to the Tigers. Incomplete. And Maria, what's the situation as we know it about the Auburn injuries?
Well, right tackle Patrick Miller, he's definitely out with a left ankle injury. We also saw Casanova McKenzie, he left. It's an undisclosed injury, but it did look like trainers were giving him a concussion test while he was sitting out. He was not able to return. And then also Chris Frost, the left knee he left, they put a knee brace on it. He's been walking around on it very gingerly for the remainder of the game. And then also Montravius Adams, we saw him leave and go to the locker room. They were looking at his shoulder, but he was able to return. So that might be something that Auburn will have to think about during this week of practice.
So 4th and 14. Juan Bray, who has bad punt off the side of his foot, going to roll dead at about the 44-yard line. Reminder to tune in Sunday now as SEC Network brings you a rewind of a classic game. Missouri, South Carolina, 2005. Tigers fought back, 21 points down, defeated the Gamecocks. Independence Bowl. Rewind, Missouri, South Carolina, 2005, Sunday at 10 p.m. on the SEC Network. Hail to the victors on homecoming weekend, but it certainly was not easy. Frost unable to play much of the game, came back out in his helmet, yelling encouragement, helping his teammates, one of the leaders of this defense out of Matthews, North Carolina. Johnson and Rock Thomas. Rock Thomas is going to be the future, folks. Coaches told us this is the future running back, number 9, so we're going to keep an eye on him. They pitch it out to Truitt, and he's got a first down. Let's check in with Dari Noka for an update on the Texas A&M Aggies.
Well, Brent, you guys mentioned it, tied it up to the Aggies after an Arkansas missed field goal. A&M on their own 41. Kenny Hill to Josh Reynolds. And he is gone, 28 apiece. Arkansas now with a 4th down. A&M's going to get it back, guys.
All right, time running out in that one in regulation. Here we've got 5 and change. First down and 10 for backup quarterback Jeremy Johnson, who was an outstanding high school basketball player. I wouldn't be surprised if Bruce Pearl didn't sneak up behind him and say, you want to play 2 sports, young man?
He's got that kind of athleticism. And Brent, you mentioned Rock Thomas, this young true freshman running back who you're right, they do think is the future here. He was the 5th rated running back coming out of high school. Picked Auburn over Alabama. Very interesting, but reminds Gus Malzahn a lot of Michael Dyer, who of course was the MVP of the 2010 national championship game. Really good balance, and they want to get him more carries and more involved now as the season goes on. Make him more part of the rotation with Cameron Artis-Payne and Corey Grant.
And here is Thomas off the play fake. Johnson, and I was fooled, but 3 defenders for the Bulldogs were not.
It's hard to see from up here, though. It's a big stadium.
You know, Jesse, I got to go to Atlanta right after the game, and son Scott and stats man George Hill over there. I'm going to stop by the Jacobs household, athletic director Jay and Angie, and see if Eloise has got some food in that fridge for me.
I don't blame you.
Is that unbelievable?
Is that some of the best cooking you've ever had? We get lucky enough when we come out here to Auburn to be treated to that genius in the kitchen.
Swing out to the right side now. This is Rock Thomas taking a look at the young man. Looks like he's got a little bit of a burst.
Yeah, he sure does, and he's got tremendous balance too. And you saw Stanton Truitt, a true freshman, make a catch at the beginning of this drive. A lot of these young players, these are going to be the hallmarks for Auburn moving forward when Jeremy Johnson takes over as the starting quarterback next year. Again, it's important. It's a long season. This SEC West is physical. It is a deep league. We've seen some Tigers get nicked up today a little bit. These young players are going to have to make plays later on this season. No doubt about it if Auburn's going to go unscathed and make a trip to Atlanta.
Leaves the offense on the field. Gus Malzahn does for this 4th and 3. Move the pocket to the right. In trouble. Fires hard. Incomplete.
He's yelling at Marcus Davis right there at wide receiver. You wonder if there was a miscommunication or an error on a route he was supposed to run. It's kind of that no man's territory, no man's land, I should say, if you're Gus Malzahn and Auburn, kind of in that field goal range. Just going to go for it and give Jeremy Johnson an opportunity to execute, keep that drive alive, and maybe milk the last 3 minutes of this game off the clock. They're already beat up as they are. You just now want to get out of here without any more injuries.
Washington, Louisiana Tech, number 37.
First down and 10. Sokol, incomplete, drop. Sokol is now 20 of 34, and of course next week coming in here, the Hat, Les Miles and LSU. Then October 11th at Starkville against tough Mississippi State. Oh yeah, here comes the head ball coach. South Carolina on October 25th. And oh, by the way, let's go down to Oxford and play Ole Miss in that defense. Oh yes, there's something with Texas A&M on November 8th as we make the turn. And oh hello, let's go to Athens. And let's not forget this man, Mr. Nick Saban, November 29th, Alabama. What a schedule looms for these guys.
And it's hard to imagine anybody's going to be able to go undefeated in the SEC this year. I really believe that. Because of all the quality, especially in the SEC West Division. And Nick Marshall, you've heard his name whispered with respect to the Heisman Trophy. He's going to have to play at such a high level. We saw him make some unbelievable plays today, made them in clutch moments against Kansas State last week. He's going to have to continue playing at a very high level.
Get the tape cut off down below. 3rd down and 10. His workday is over. He was 10 of 17 for 166 yards, 3 touchdowns. 2 of those touchdown passes to Quan Bray, who scored a 3rd touchdown on a punt return. Sokol in trouble, incomplete.
It's been a tough day for the Iowa transfer quarterback, taking a lot of shots. He's done that all season long. It's a work in progress if you're Skip Holtz in Louisiana Tech. They lost 35 seniors when he took over last year. They have the fewest 4th and 5th year players in the country. They've had massive attrition on the offensive and defensive line the last 2 years. You've got a brand new quarterback. This team is fighting. They've played probably one of the toughest schedules in the country leading into tonight. Only team in the nation to play 2 teams ranked in the top 5. They now get a chance to kind of come out of this game, kind of reevaluate where they are, get into conference play. They're going to make some noise in Conference USA.
Bouncing punt. That's Marcus Davis. Now Davis. And he's down around the 40-yard line of Auburn. You know, I do want to mention a stat to you, Jesse, that I just took a look at. On 3rd down, we've talked about Auburn. They're not even 500. They're 6 of 14.
Right.
But average yards to go on 3rd down is 7.6, which means that 1st and 2nd down haven't been all that impressive today.
That's the problem, and I think that's the big concern moving forward. This offensive line's going to have to be better. They're going to have to be more physical to keep those 3rd downs manageable. I love their defense. I like the special teams. We saw a punt return touchdown today. There's some injuries right now you're kind of wondering about. I think Nick Marshall's made the plays he's needed to make the last couple of weeks. We know they've got skill players spread out on offense, that offensive line. That is the key if you're Auburn in reaching the SEC title game.
Meanwhile, Auburn and Arkansas are headed for overtime as the Aggies tie them late. Deadlocked at 28 in that big SEC West matchup.
So the scoreboard, when you talk about common opponents, now it's looking okay. 45-17 when you compare that to Oklahoma, who won, I think, 48-16 at their home week 1 against Louisiana Tech. Remember, Kansas State's game last week against Auburn is another one people are going to compare with Oklahoma. When the Sooners play Kansas State, Baylor's going to play Kansas State. A lot of football to compare.
Here's Peyton Barber, his first carry, and he's got a burst. We saw quite a bit of him in practice, actually, on Thursday. Number 25. He's another one of the Georgia athletes, redshirt freshman, so he figures to have a future here.
Well, a lot of good young players, but let's make no bones about it with respect to the selection committee and all that stuff. If Auburn goes undefeated in the SEC West, they're the 1 seed, and you can stamp that. Now,
listen, I would say Alabama goes undefeated.
Yeah, sure. Anybody in the SEC West goes undefeated, you're the 1 seed right now. I'll say that right now.
Right now, Jesse, with what I've seen, I haven't seen Nick Saban's team in person. Watched them on TV, watched a lot of film of them. I give them just a little bit of an edge. They're getting better quarterback play than I think some of us expected. I tend to give Auburn a little bit of an edge with their schedule because they went to your game out in Manhattan. Now, I know that the Crimson Tide rolled Florida in Tuscaloosa.
Played West Virginia on a neutral site early, up in Atlanta. A lot of football remains to be played, and this is where it's going to get fun now. Now that we're into the conference meet for you and I and for all the fans out there watching, because there's going to be movement each and every weekend.
You and I will head to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Jesse Palmer's first time there since he went as the Gator quarterback for Steve Spurrier.
We should bring Maria's dad.
No, we don't bring Maria's dad.
I need security. I need help.
Oh, in that case, yes. You eat at a separate place.
That's right. I'm not driving with you next week. I get it.
Oh, yeah. So Auburn wins it 45-17 over Louisiana Tech. Coach Malzahn down below and Maria Terra. Maria.
Coach, at the half, we talked a lot about third down conversions. Do you feel like you improved upon that point in the second half?
Well, we got a little better, but still, that's going to be a point of emphasis. But we made some plays in the passing game, and I thought that was a big difference.
Let's talk through some of those big plays. One by Duke Williams, Quan Bray making a great catch from Nick Marshall. What did you see on those plays?
Well, we got some receivers that can make plays. You know, Duke made an unbelievable play. Quan made a good one down here, and then the one he went up right there at the end on the broken play that Nick extended. That was really something.
Well, you got a big game coming up here in the SEC West. What do you have to look forward to, or what do you learn from your team in this game that you can take moving forward into practice?
Well, we're 4-0, and we played some pretty good teams, so we're very happy, and we got to, we're fixing to get in the grind, and so we're looking forward to it, and we'll see what happens.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Gus Malzahn with another win, and he mentioned, of course, Quan Bray, and he was a great all-around athlete in high school over LaGrange, Georgia.
He's right here.
And a little bit of a tragedy in his life. He was the son of the late Tanya Bray, and his mother passing away tragically, and the team embraced him over here. He's a cousin of a former Auburn defensive back by the name of Jason Bray. And let's go back down now to Maria with the star.
We're letting them finish up the prayer there. Quan, you had a great game. Kickoff return for a touchdown, 2 great touchdown passes. Let's start with the second one that you caught from Nick Marshall. It seemed like a busted play that turned into a touchdown. What do you remember from that play?
I just remember, trying to run my route, and then, once Nick get loose, we just go to our scrimmage here, and he seen me downfield, and he made a throw, and I just tried to make a play.
Let's go back to the kickoff return for a touchdown. That's your second one on the season. What are you looking for when you're making those plays in special teams?
I'm just really trying to be the playmaker that my team need me to be, and I give all credit to them guys up front for holding and crunching like they do, because we work every day on practice for that, and them boys get their all for me back there.
Coach talked a lot about third down conversions in the first half, and it seemed like you got going offensively in the second. What do you feel changed for your squad?
I think we just woke up a little bit. We came out a little down a little bit, but Coach already harped on us coming out and playing fast, playing the style that we play in. In the second half, we came and did that, but now we just got to continue to have a complete game.
Well, looking forward. You got LSU coming, so yeah, what kind of momentum does this give you looking forward?
It's give us a lot. We're going to watch the film and see the things that we got to work on, and we're going to go in tomorrow and get some corrections, and we're going to be ready to play Saturday.
All right, thanks. Congrats on the win.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Maria. Jesse, take us through his 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you got to maximize your opportunity. Quan Bray was only targeted 4 times in the passing game, had 3 catches, but they were all big plays. None bigger than this one right here on the go route early. Here's the scramble play you just heard Gus Malzahn and Quan Bray referring to. climbing the ladder, going up over Dixon at safety. He's not going to see very many of these anymore. This is the second time this year he's taken a punt to the house. Tremendous speed, tremendous playmaking ability, makes an impact not just on offense but on special teams as well.
Jesse, it was a pleasure working with you, traveling in from Thursday night. Next week you got to come all the way from Oregon to Knoxville, Tennessee. I'll see you there, my friend. As Gus Malzahn and Auburn remains undefeated, beating non-conference foe Louisiana Tech. Homecoming is a success at Auburn. Now let's go to SEC now. Darinoka, Booger McFarlane, Greg McElroy. Take it away, gang.